I can't remember.
Yes, hello. I am James Rowlands, and today it's the WNR538. It's WWE Crown Jewel. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show, it is the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie?
Hello. Going well, thank you. I'm eager for another WWE pay-per-view. Let's see whether or not I can overcome some of the losses I've been taking with WWE lately. Let's see if we
Yeah,
have
but
any luck this time.
to be fair, you were on fire last week, so maybe you can carry that
We
over,
were,
you
we
know?
were. That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping that good luck of that epic win, that epic AEW win, will carry over now into WWE. So we're going into this podcast with, a lot of positivity.
Yeah, well, you are. Up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it's Monty. How's it going, man?
Doing great, doing great. Excited to talk about a pretty good event. You know, it's really interesting when I think about Crown Jewel. I used to groan at the thought of this show, and now since they've done a good job of actually making it seem like it matters, I was looking forward to this. So happy to review it.
Happy to have you along. So, last but by no means least, slip inside the eye of your mind. Don't you know you might find a better place to play? You said that you'd never been, but all the things that you'd seen will slowly fade away. And so, Gina can wait. She knows it's too late. She's walking on by. Blue skies is all the way. Well, don't look back in anger, you fucking knobhead. I heard you say. That was, of course, Oasis. And the lean to my knoll, it's Gina. How's it going, Gina?
What up? Can I just clarify for people that I do not have a choice in the songs that James sings for me, okay? I don't. I'm always surprised when you guys are. Brilliant. That was a
Nor the
shock,
quality,
sure.
by the way.
I feel that me and Monty were both like, oh, I'm glad this isn't a video podcast, you know? I'm not sure if I could have controlled the reaction of my face at that
point. No, my face is pretty purple.
I'm gonna say I don't want to see James' face. He's singing
exactly, yeah. You've given me a couple of minutes to recover. Whew. No, but again, what I was thinking was, of course, Oasis and what an Oasis Saudi Arabia is. So there's a link as well, Gina. See, it all worked.
There's always a link. There is a link, so it does work. Thank you very much for that, James.
Well, I'm glad. Well, what a show we have. You know, we've got a complete catch-up of WWE, plus the news, Crown Jewel review, and so much more. But we start with Raw and SmackDown. We've got pre-tape Raw with Blair and Cargill beating Io and Sane. The Viking Raiders returned. Ripley teamed with Tiff to face Raquel and Liv. This ended with shenanigans and Jax getting involved. So not really going on. But the return of the Viking Raiders, and Jaxie asked you this. We talk about maybe the tag team division in WWE. Viking Raiders returning will help that.
Yeah, I mean, again, they even are now going back by the War Raiders, if I'm correct. Which, you know, I want to see is going to be a good thing. You know, I think the branding behind the Viking Raiders didn't exactly go as planned. And I think at this point, you know, like that there needed to be some sort of shake up to be able to really kind of ignite sort of like the curiosity behind them. But like, you know, do I think that they are a decent tag team? Yes, I do. And I really do hope that we are going to get a chance to see them, you know, kind of start to shine again and really have like the WWE fan base actually get behind them again and what they can do. So only time will tell, and creative booking decisions, you know?
Yeah, without a doubt. SmackDown opened with 5 minutes of video packages before the new Bloodline came out to kick off the show. Sikoa said Reigns and Jimmy would acknowledge him by the end of the night. Jey Uso's music hit and he came through the crowd. He said he cares about Solo because they're still brothers. He told Solo to think about what he's doing to the family. DIY beat Pretty Deadly and Street Profits. Reigns and Jimmy ran into Jey backstage and Reigns said he was proud of him, but Jey didn't want to hear any of it. Sikoa wanted Reigns to acknowledge him in the middle of the ring, so they met in the final minutes of the show. Tanga, and Jacob dragged out beating Jimmy, and it sent Reigns off. He took out everyone in the Bloodline, but a number of games caught up with him, and he was decimated. Monty, I mean, we're going to talk a lot about the Bloodline, but this is kind of setting the stage at the moment where Roman Reigns is just outnumbered.
Yeah, still being stubborn in a sense also, but it makes sense because how things ended with Jay and Roman the last time. But 100%, giving Roman, you have to give Solo them an upper hand so Roman could even look like he needs, or Roman can realize that he needs his family back together to really have a chance. But again, I just not only do I like the storytelling, I like how Jay feels in this prison. I was worried that because we all knew that they would have to get back together, that they would try to revert Jay back to an extent. But his presence, every entrance he make, I think you guys probably can tell. It feels like Jey Uso who won the Intercontinental Champion. You can tell all that hard work they did of establishing who he is. He feels like a completely different Jey Uso than the original run in the Bloodline, just to me. And I kind of like that he, not only stood up to Solo, but was also, again, resistant to Roman at first because that's just it just makes sense. He knows all that Roman did to him mentally and physically. So yeah, I like all of this, and I even like Solo again. His presence, he's only getting better, and I think as this went on all the way up until the match, Solo kind of just got more and more comfortable. Maybe he has more fun telling these stories with his brothers and Roman being involved. Maybe it's a little bit more natural because I think you can just tell that his personality is coming out the longer this feud continues.
Yeah, I think you're bang on. And I think, some people talk about Solo in the first couple of months. But again, it's like imposter syndrome. He might be dealing with himself of trying to think, right, now I've grown into this role. And, like you said, we got the story going. Elsewhere, Lash Legend beat Piper Niven. Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley made their SmackDown debut in the second triple threat tag of the night, beating Austin Theory, Grace Waller, Angel, and Berto. Motor City Guns. Gina, I'm going to ask you this because, and we were just speaking before we began, but this might be the first time you actually seen the Motor City Machine Guns properly. So I want to get your thoughts of what you thought from first impressions, or what you've heard about them.
Why would you come to me for my first impressions? Because I said their name wrong 6 times before the pod started.
This is what it's about. It's all well and good. Well, I saw these wrestle 20 years ago. No, I want to see what first impressions are. God damn it.
Well, I mean, this was my first viewing of these guys as a tag team. I had no idea who they were. I think one of you boys may have mentioned them before. But to be honest, I really didn't take note. So when these guys did come in, I kind of was just like, okay, this is going to be the next Humberto and Angel Garza. They get brought up and they're kind of just the jobbed out team to put the other teams over. So that's kind of how I saw it. But I won't lie, they've definitely impressed me, especially with the run that they're being given at this moment in time. I feel like, just chucking the belts on them has actually worked in their favor because it has actually made me give a damn on who these two guys are.
Yeah, perfect. Well, that's what we're going to get into that in a little bit as well. But like I said, first impressions are important. Not everybody who watches WWE television watches, said independent wrestling, anything like this. So it's good to know. We move on to Raw with Rollins and Reed causing havoc. I just want to keep Bronson doing this. Whatever feud he's in, just keep causing carnage. Looks like we're getting White 6 versus the Final Testament as well. Io and Kari versus Liv and Raquel was ruined by Meta 2. Rhea Ripley arrived to a thunderous ovation, laid out the hills. Doesn't that seem such a long time ago as well? Mysterio Dragon Lee joined the War Raiders and the New Day in the finals of the number 1 contendership tournament with victory over the Creed brothers. Also, Carlito wanted to learn Chinese. This was a backstage segment where Carlito said something. Jaxie, I want to get your thoughts because obviously we know Io and Kari are Japanese. Was this a joke? Is there more to this?
No.
You know.
Do you know what? I think this was just stupidity at its finest of not thinking before you speak. That's what I think it was. I think it was a throwaway comment that, Carlito thought he could just quickly squeeze in there. I don't think it was like added in the script or anything like that. And yeah, again, it is him thinking before he speaks, like just not actually having like the decency to like think of who they are and their heritage. And like, I'm really sorry, I don't mean to actually be this harsh, but actually I do. Carlito, you have been in this business for how long? And you have known that like you have been, around these women for how long? And yet you still do not know that their heritage is Japanese. Like that was really stupid. So to me, this was just a dumbass moment and not his finest, to be honest. It just like, if anything, I actually cringed watching this, and I was I just kind of lost a bit of respect for you there, Carlito. Look how pissed off that he would get if someone like mistook him for and his heritage.
Yeah,
it's just
right. Yeah, and the thing is as well is that obviously it's been talked about backstage, so it's been okayed by someone.
Exactly.
Unless he did come over off the cuff, which I don't think he did.
Well, I mean, like that's what I don't know. I don't know if that was like actually meant to be.
They claim he just improvised it. I don't know
how
true that is. They could be covering their behind, but they claim he just improvised.
They claimed that it was improvised and he just kind of ad-libbed it. But like, again, I don't know whether or not creative would do something like that, because they would be really stupid.
I like to think they're smart enough to not do that. I'd like to think that. That don't mean it's true, but I would like to think.
Yeah, I'd like to think that.
He's also bilingual, like you mentioned, so it's kind of crazy that, like, But I'm two minds. Like maybe like 15 years ago, you can get away with it and everybody laughing off as a joke. But
exactly,
in today's climate, I mean, you just gotta know better.
Do you know what it reminded me of? It reminds me of the very first Rush Hour movie. I think that there's a throwaway comment in there from Chris Tucker.
Oh, it's so mean.
Like, even though it's so bad, like that Rush Hour is so bad when you rewatch it back now. But what I'm trying to say is, like, in the very beginning of the movie, Chris Tucker like has a throwaway line about them being Japanese and not Chinese, and you're just like, oh my god, that's what that moment reminded me of with Carlito. Is just like that insensitive type of comment. So I want to believe that it actually was just a dumbass comment thrown in there by Carlito and he fucked up, and that it wasn't really added by creative, because if so, that's fucked up of creative. It really is.
I do think it was a throwaway comment that he put in, because I swear I read somewhere online that both Io and Kyrie were asked like how they felt about it, and they said that they found it kind of funny, and they just more looked at it as him playing into his idiotic character. So that's kind of how they had seen it and looked at it. So regardless of whether that is the case or not, maybe they just said that to, keep the heat off of him.
Right. like method acting.
Yeah, they could be just being nice. Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they would.
Yeah.
But in a way, it's just like, it's just in poor taste, isn't it? It's like, you've got to think about where we are nowadays in today's day
and unnecessary.
Have Mr. McMahon walk past someone, say, "What's up, my N-word?" and it just be okay.
Exactly.
Yeah, that seems like a long time ago, but you realise it's not.
Yeah, exactly. And I just it's a McMahon show, and that was crazy. It reminds you of half of the stuff that really shouldn't have been allowed.
Yeah, I mean, like, and Vince walked away from like that segment like scot-free, and not even anyone said anything. But then Booker T accidentally went off script, shouted the word nigger, and then just got absolutely ruined for it. Like when that went on air. Do you guys remember that?
I do.
Promo?
Yep.
Yeah,
I don't know if I'm allowed to answer.
He was a black man. He was a black man, and he just was like really in the moment in that promo, said that word, and still got in trouble for that.
I love it because his regret immediately that's just legit how it is, especially if you do that in a professional setting. Like a
Yeah,
lot of, especially, and I know over here, we say that a lot at home, and or just around in the neighborhood, whatever. Like you said, when he grew up, that's just how you
yeah,
talk. So, but if you mess up and you say it at work,
yeah,
we've all been Booker T sometimes, just because
yeah,
like
yeah.
he regretted it immediately. He was like, "Oh, dang."
He was sweating. You could see he just started sweating it.
Good stuff. Right, so the Intercontinental title was on the line as Jey Uso went against Bron Breakker. Of course, this was a ton of interference from the Bloodline. And, of course, Jacob Fatu catching Uso with a super kick and delivering a Samoan drop through the commentary table. Set him up for the super spear for Bron Breakker, who scored the win. And his second Intercontinental title. But, Monty, not really about Bron and his second title win, even though we can talk about it.
Yeah.
This was actual story development using championships, which blew some people's minds.
Right, they couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe. Then a lot of people are mad that stuff like this happens on Raw. And I'm like, I used to pray for something important or something cool to happen on Raw. So I don't know what the hell some people complain about. But yeah, man, it was just smart. I knew as soon as Jey. Again, I think it says a lot, like from where we've come. Jey, if you remember the original Bloodline, he was always the temper type of guy. Always kind of had that crash out mentality, and when he came at Jacob in that way, even if it seemed like just a line at the time when he said what he would do to Jacob, if Jacob kept staring at him, I kind of secretly knew. I was like, Jey, you have a title match coming up. I don't think you want to be talking to that man, and it's kind of funny.
But that line went hard though. That line went hard.
Great.
When he said it, I lost my shit. I was like, let's go.
And that's how big. Like, as much as I'm looking forward to one day just seeing a Roman and Jacob fight, but like Jey is so big too that I can't wait for that too. If Jacob and Jey just fight 1-on-1, that's how big he's gotten himself. And like you said, that moment adding that heat there was incredible. And like it made sense when Solo. And then Solo even acting or pretending to say, I'm on your side. You know what I'm saying? Like, again, it was just beautiful. Like you said, really well executed. And it made sense. And Jey was able to get his achievement. I know it was only like a 20-something day reign or whatever, but you get on Triple H when you give someone 100 or a 300-day reign. Yeah, you can't be mad when he, right. So when you
but like when it actually works into storyline like this, and it makes sense, like you actually kind of can get over the fact that it wasn't that as long as a reign, as long as it makes sense. Do you know what I mean?
And it was about the achievement for Jey. It was about doing something without Jimmy. It wasn't really about being the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time. So, again, it was just smart. They get the belt back on Braun because we know long term that's the guy you probably wanted there. And, this was just executed really well. It helped out the Bloodline story. It helped out Braun. And it was a really good segment of television, man.
Yeah, without doubt. Well, SmackDown Orton start the show. Levi passed the game to come out and explain why he wouldn't get a match against KO at Crown Jewel. Orton accused Triple H of protecting Owens, but Triple H said he was doing it to protect Randy. In the end, Orton did get his match. But again, Gina, as we've been talking about, stuff making sense, I thought this was another really good segment because it is a case of like Triple H does care for Orton, and that's why he's trying to protect him, even though we never saw it coming.
Yeah, I mean, I totally got Triple H's like reasoning, but I was like, well, then fire Kevin. If you're that scared for Randy, just fire Kevin then. Jesus. But no, I definitely liked the segment though, bringing Triple H out, questioning him, like, why aren't you doing this? Like, why are you protecting Kevin from me? And he's like, I'm not protecting Kevin, I'm actually protecting you. So it actually really worked.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I'm looking forward to the match as well. We then see LA Knight was out to serve as the official for the 7th match between Andrade and Hayes. Andrade got in his face and Knight hit him with BFD, hit Hayes with one. A moment later, rung the bell himself for declaring himself the winner. Jack, see LA Knight getting involved. Should we have had, for match 7, like a clean finish? I know we are getting the triple threat Crown Jewel, but surely they deserved it.
Yeah. I mean, like, I feel like this was a real cheap way of copying out of them actually having like a round of 7 and having an ultimate winner. And it was really very much to set up the triple threat that we're getting at Crown Jewel. But still, are we going to get that? Because I'm like, I still want a definitive winner out of the 7. And like, I just feel like that was, it kind of was a cheap tactic to use to just save both men before the triple threat for Crown Jewel. So I get it that this is what, like, all tied into that storyline. But yeah, give us an actual round 7, please. Like, I
It'd be
would
funny
actually
if they
like that.
never mentioned it. Do you know what I mean? Like,
If they
just
don't, if they don't, I'm gonna start regularly tweeting like Hunter, Hunter, don't forget about this, okay? We're not gonna have this forgotten about. Like, this is kind of like the new upcoming, like, Sheamus and at the time Cesaro, like, round of 7. But yeah, like, we got a clean sort of definitive winner out of the batch of 7, whereas like here we haven't. So don't do that.
No.
Give us an actual winner, please.
We get Bianca Belair and Jay Cargill being told they were defending the women's tag titles on a fatal 4-way at Crown Jewel during a backstage segment. Then the American Nightmare lost his cool and attacked Gunther, with Olivia Kaiser showing up to help the ring general. Orton ran down to make the save, drive Imperium away. Again, standard stuff. I mean, Monty, I don't want to be negative about Cody and Gunther, but and talk about Liv and of course Nia. This just felt wedged in. Do you know what I mean? We talk about all these other stories going along, and it's just like, oh no, this is what we're doing this month. Get on with it.
Yeah, I think, like you said, I think it kind of feels wedged in mostly because you don't have an actual narrative to attach to it other than we're fighting for this big goal, this big belt that only is going to be relevant when Crown Jewel happens, So they were kind of grasping at straws to kind of try to build some conflict other than the fact that these guys are 2 world champions. I do think Gunther and Cody did the best job they could with the promo segments that they have, and to try to build some type of heat there. But other than just looking forward to the match because they're 2 of the best, or probably in standing, they are the 2 best in WWE right now. And the same thing for the women's division. I think they were just, again, grasping at straws to try to build some type of extra element there. Because if you talk about the triple threat match, even though we know most of the heat is between Melo and Andrade, LA Knight getting involved in a title, that stakes, that has a storyline into it. And he talked about, of course, the bloodline and pretty much every other major situation that's going to be on this card all have narrative to it other than like the stakes behind like a championship. So again, I think they did their best, but you're 100% right. It definitely kind of feel like, well, we have to do something to try to promote that they're doing this. So I think that's all this was. But again, I don't. It's nothing. I don't think any of it was bad though. I just think, like you said, it's just kind of what you expect because they're building a champion versus champion match.
Yeah, it felt unlike what we've seen with Triple H. Like I said, with previous booking of events, it's very month in month, and it seems with Triple H, it's very linear. Where obviously, it can last a very long time. So to see just like kind of months build, especially when it maybe feel a little bit more, but you will get onto that a little bit. We see Trust Champion Johnny Gargano taking on Chris Sabin and Alex Shelley in a contendership match. Motor City Machine Guns won, but we weren't finished there. The Bloodline came out and introduced itself to Shelley and Sabin. This ended up leading to Motor City Machine Guns asked for the title shot right there. Nick Aldis called for a referee in the ring. Match got started. What a great general manager. Jimmy Uso showed up and attacked Solo and Jacob at ringside. Roman Reigns soon joined his cousin. They fought on the stage as the match continued in the ring. A masked Jey Uso came out and took out the tag champs with a chair while the referee was down. Sabin and Shelley took advantage of the situation, scored the win to become your new tag team champions. And Jimmy and Jay ended this episode of SmackDown by embracing in the middle of the ring as Reigns looked on from the stage. Now, Gina, a lot going on. Not going to ask you about Motor City Machine Guns. Don't worry. I'm going to ask you about that moment between Jimmy and Jay at the end of the episode, where even Jay showing up during it, and then the embrace to end is what we wanted.
I mean, definitely, for sure. It did feel, to be honest, I kind of forgot about what had happened to Jay previously because I was so focused on this tag match. I wasn't even really aware or thinking about, Jay could come in and do something to the Bloodline here. So for me, when he did turn up with his hoodie up, I was instantly excited and I was like, yes, do it back to them. I just didn't really cotton on to think he could come and do this to them there and then. But I'm glad he did because, it just still cemented that mark of how bad Jay felt screwed over by like Solo and them doing it to him, and like it's annoying because they say they came out there to help Jay, and it's like, well, no, bruv, you didn't. You came out there, you distracted me, and I lost my title, which how hard I worked to get a singles title for myself. So for him to come and do that back to the Tongas, it was good. It was karma in its finest element right there.
No doubt. I have to mention it as well, Monty. We have to talk about this. Motor City Machine Guns, it's come in, been there, a couple of weeks to win the tag titles. This is just unbelievable. I never thought we'd actually see this. I know they're good, but it's just like, what the fuck? I never would have thought.
They're good, and they're actually being treated like the class of the division already. I think that's probably what's shocking me already. Like, I figured they would start off with some wins, and get some momentum. But to already, get those 2 matches off in one night, get that title change. And again, kind of like we were talking about earlier with Jay and Braun Breaker, using the storyline to make stuff make even more sense. And now they can take over. As much as I like the Bloodline, we all know that currently, until the Bloodline narrative is over, titles is not necessarily something they're worried about at the moment. So, I think Tama and Tonga Loa could be back in the tag division at some point, but right now they got, business to take care of. And I think having the Motor City Machine Guns there as now the new team to chase, and they can, James, from years of watching them, they can pretty much match up well with any team. And I just think having them as the leaders of the tag division on SmackDown, it has me excited for what they has the potential to build as an entire division. As a matter of fact, with the 2 concurrent type tournaments and things that they had going on for both tag divisions, I kind of like the refocus, because even if they're not going to necessarily always be on the PLE events or anything, having building a legitimate tag division is something that I think for all of us who really enjoy tag team wrestling, it's hard. You can't take it for granted. And I think having Motor City Machine Guns, as much as they still have maybe credibility to build with people who may not know much about them, hardcore wrestling fans and people who've been able to watch Impact since I was a child, for the most part, like you said, I never thought, honestly, that because I'm sure they had many opportunities over the years to show up to possibly go in WWE. So you had to think even they probably was like, yeah, no, it probably never happened. So to get them one of the all-time, probably the best team in Impact history, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you can. I really don't know if there's a question about that, honestly. But to have one of the teams that's exactly they're what AJ Styles was in the singles division, and then not to mention that both of these guys were Impact champions, so they're great wrestlers individually too. So again, I'm very excited to have them not only in the WWE but on top of the SmackDown division already. And you kind of, I think, seeing this. Not saying I would have minded if they would have joined NXT, because I think they would have, them and Fraction. Come on, James, would have loved that, and we could have got to see them versus Frazier in action. But I think it was a great idea to just go ahead and put them right on the main roster. They're veterans. You can trust them in the ring. And it's just all about building credibility and getting over with the WWE fans and their style. And I just love so far how they've been depicted, man. Very strong, and they're allowed to do what they do best. Give them a good 10 to 15 minutes to go out there and have good to really good tag team matches. And I thought it was cool. And immediately once they showed up, I already can kind of see Triple H making Ciampa turn right back into a psychopath. So as soon as they lost this match, you can kind of see the difference. And I'm like, Johnny, you might want to get ready to turn heel, or you're gonna get killed again for the 100th time. So again, I loved everything about this segment besides the bloodline.
It would make sense because Candice is a heel. So Johnny, you may as well follow your wife.
Yeah, you might want
to join the heel train.
Yeah, you might want to.
Exactly.
We're gonna have another post-credit moment, James.
Yeah, exactly.
But just like Monty was saying, from me, who has had no idea who the motor. Wait, what was it? Motor City
Machine Gun.
From not knowing them and thinking, oh, okay, well, these guys are going to be the new jobbers for tag teams in the WWE, and then seeing this match, I will say I was relatively surprised, but I was quite pleased for them because, like I said earlier, it kind of has forced me to, I don't know, look at these guys as more of a formidable team than look at them like my first initial reaction.
Yeah. Right. Now, you could nearly accuse me of trying to work this all way together in it, you know what I mean? But it won't work anyway. Anyway, on to Raw, and Jay spoke briefly about asking Jimmy Uso to join him. Big Jim thanked him for his work on SmackDown, need to work together. Jay said they still had a lot of stuff to fix the relationship. They're going to unite, wouldn't be someone else's henchman. New Bloodline came out, and the Usos stood tall. But, Jaxie, I want to ask you this, and Gina might say different, but obviously I'm not saying you two, you know, would turn on each other, but who would be the first to apologise?
I think that's really tough. You know what? I think that both of us can actually say that we have had like sort of big arguments being twins that are very similar to both what Jimmy and Jay have gone through. And there's different, obviously, depending on what kind of happened. I feel like, do you know what? Ultimately, this is the best answer I could give. There's always a mediator that will bring us back together. It's not necessarily either one of us. It's someone who kind of gets us in a room together. Yeah.
But if you were Jay, would you forgive Jimmy?
Are over silly. So they're not as serious as like trying to get each other to bow down to each other. Like,
yeah,
you know,
if you were Jay, would you forgive Jimmy?
Arguments that we have, but like Jaxie said, like we have a big family. Someone ends up getting involved and making us kind of talk it out, because we're both too stubborn. And in a way, that's what I see from both Jimmy and Jay: stubbornness.
So you both wouldn't forgive each other, right? That's what we want to know.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, they would.
That's what we all heard. Fine. Sheamus beat Kaiser. Ivanhoe beat Zelina Vega. Rollins came out to deliver a promo about his upcoming match against Bronson Reed, but the big man called him out to the parking lot for the fight. Camera followed from the arena to the parking lot where he and Reed began brawling. Rollins ended up stomping his rival on the hood of the car, but Reed was back up a moment later and put Rollins through a few tables with Death Valley Driver. I mean, again, Gina, I mentioned Bronson Reed earlier. He's just, when he's like this is excellent. This is the monster that we need on Monday Night Raw.
100%. This is the Bronson Reed that I very first saw, and then it kind of got shed back a little bit. So seeing him come back to being the full Bronson Reed that I kind of was first introduced to, this is definitely perfect TV for him. Is just perfect for him. It works so well, and I'm just excited to see like the next brawl he's gonna have and where it's gonna be, because it seems to be everywhere at the moment.
Yeah, without a doubt. We then see War Raiders winning the number one contendership match against the New Day, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee. And Dirty Dom was told that he'd face a mystery opponent who was a former world champion. We all knew it would be Damian Priest. Predictably, the rest of the Judgment Day showed up. Dom did get the win, but then got beaten down afterwards in classic heel fashion. We'll move on to a bit of news, because there has been quite a bit of news in the past couple of weeks. And WWE launched a new indie wrestling development program. I mean, Monty, I don't want to put you on the spot here to try and explain everything that it is, but what WWE basically saying it's their latest efforts to identify and support the journey of up-and-coming wrestlers, in turn raising the profile and strength of the independent wrestling ecosystem. If it's anything like they did the UK scene, we're in trouble, but I don't know if you know a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I've heard people come out and mention that they hope it's not with NXT UK or whatever they did over there, and I'm not really sure how the details about some of that, like what they actually did to that scene. I guess I know I get a little bit of what you mean just based off what I've read, but as far as over here, I'm like you. I'm hoping it's a positive. I'm hoping that all the independent wrestlers that they're starting to work with and sign get things specifically detailed to them in a certain way. I've heard they even still allowed, some of them are still allowed to take bookings with AEW or whatever if they needed to. Like if they're not stopping them from taking other bookings, which sounds great to me. But when I initially heard it, because I saw like the Nightmare Factory, which is like Cody's wrestling school, Seth Rollins wrestling school, and then I saw the Reality of Wrestling, which is what Booker T, the promotion / wrestling school that he's been doing. Where you got guys like Zilla Fatu, Umaga's son, who and stuff like, and other many different talent that I've been seeing, Cappuccino Jones, people like that I've been seeing pop up around the indies for a while over here in America are finally getting that WWE eye, and it gave me vibes of like maybe what they used to do with Ohio Valley Wrestling. Like, yeah, like they're using NXT and they are still going after those athletes that they can do the NIL deals with. A lot of the people that we know they've been signing. But that whole initiative that they had when I think Vince returned for that short period, when he was trying to make it seem like they didn't want independent talent and they only wanted athletes or whatever they had going on. It seemed like they're shifting focus back to doing both again. And like you mentioned, Jay, I'm hopeful overall that it's a nice development system and WWE is actually helping people develop, and also this could also work as a ladder to help people come to WWE. But also at the same time, it doesn't necessarily have to be a system that you're working for WWE. It could just be a way to help independent workers. But I'm not, like you said, they don't have the track record for me to be like, no, the workers are going to definitely be protected and they're going to, right. WWE's not getting a cut of their merch or whatever. So
they're not
I'm just hoping.
storing up talent again. You know what I mean?
Right. They're not just stacking a bunch of people trying to keep independent workers from going to other places there and keeping them for themselves. Like I'm trying to be optimistic about it because it is a great idea. But at the same time, if you go to Booker T's wrestling school, you shouldn't automatically be locked in to just sit under this contract that you may not ever go to NXT, but you're on WWID, and you can't do this, you can't do that. But from what I'm hearing so far, they are still allowed to go to Impact. They are still allowed to do Ring of Honor, other stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see. But, it sounds good, but you just hope that the workers are still protected up under that banner, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Well, the craziest thing I heard was that if you're an independent wrestler onto this and you get an offer from AEW, you have to ring WWE, show them the offer.
Yeah, I think you do have to tell them though. So
yeah, they have to offer you or not at that point in time. But again, it's wrestling, guys. Hey,
and that's fine because like at least that'll make them offer you. But again, just like I know, James, somebody might offer and then they may never even get used. We just don't want you to go over there, which. That'll be slimy. Like I hope they actually just let talent that they know they don't see a future with go and don't just, like you said, just hog it. But I don't know. Let's just hope for the best on that regard, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we'll cheer ourselves up. And Jaxie, I'll give you this news story. Vince McMahon is not thrown in a towel. Looks like he's going to come back. There's a new venture being described as an entertainment hub company, reportedly focused on producing film and TV projects as well. A lot of former WWE talent looks to be involved, as in backstage, not obviously on screen. But what is worrying, because this was like October 29th, I think this news dropped, but with what happened in America since, Vince McMahon might have free reign to come back to work sooner rather than later. That horrible thought?
Right, yeah. I mean, I don't even know kind of what's like. Why can't he just fuck off? Like from WWE, you like this is like what, like the third time that you're trying to make a comeback within the company. Like, fuck off. Like that's all I can really say about the situation. Like, it's in Hunter's hands. Leave him to it. Like, there's no need. Fuck off. That's what I have.
An issue. I mean, again, talk about Mr. McMahon or Vince McMahon coming back to WWE, but if he was just to be out there working unimpeded, funnily enough. Would that be okay, or does he actually? Do you know what I mean? It should just be retired and stop working forever.
Well, I mean, in all honesty, he should be paying for his crimes. Like, if anything, he should be getting trialed and then going probably to prison. Like, he really needs to pay for his crimes. But again, with what you've just recently said and with who is in power now, I don't see that happening. So yeah, just go fuck off somewhere, retire. Go curl up in a house in the Hamptons where you know that you're just probably anyway. Just go away where we don't have to see you.
Yeah,
just go away.
Support your son and daughter and have them just continue to take the reins, that sort of thing. Just leave it now. Like, at the end of the day, regardless as to what comes of his case, I feel like you should know when you've had to throw the towel in and just keep yourself away now. Regardless, you have to know that whether people are going to be happy about you coming back or not, you being associated with the company is going to be damaging for it. It really is. Regardless as to whether your old school fans will be happy to see you, the new generation is not. Not with everything else that's going on out in the world with the Diddy's, the Epsteins, the Weinsteins, like all of it is coming to light. And so you can't just sit there and then drape him on TV to parade in front of them again. It can't go back to the way it was before. So that's my opinion.
No, you're right. We'll move on to the next one. Gina, get your thoughts on this as well. Departures, as Baron Corbin, Tegan Nox and Indy Hartwell are leaving WWE. Looks like it's going to be the end of their contracts, but still it will be 90 days. I think they still can't work after as well. But what are your thoughts on these three? Because, again, Baron Corbin's been around a long time, and, of course, the other two.
I mean, I think Baron Corbin was the biggest shock out of the three for me. With Tegan, is sad, but she is quite injury prone, so she's just not been able to be used. So I can understand them saying, look, even if she is better now, let's just cut her losses. She's been off the TVs for so long, that there's not that much, oomph behind her, I guess. So even though it's really sad to see her go, I'm not really surprised by that. Indy, I am a little, just because she was always, at the side of Candice. And so I always thought she would be around in that sense. I do feel like she was done a bit dirty. I don't know about the other two, but I think Indy found out online that she was being released, because she was like, wait, what? When she saw
they confirmed. No, they confirmed that was her just like having a bit of a joke, because I think Sean Ross Sapp like retweeted and was like, she was just having a joke, like she actually did know like all of this.
At least I know that she wasn't done dirty like that. Then
no,
fair enough,
because that was going around for a while, that everyone believed that, and everyone started throwing hate at WWE, and Sean Ross had to come out and just tweet and say she did know this was just a joke.
That's hilarious. But yeah, either way, I think, the biggest shocker is Baron Corbin, because like you said, James, he has been there such a long time. And like, no matter where you put him, he always seemed to find a good storyline for himself to sink into. And it is shocking, because he does work well with like other talent. He does put other talent over. So it is quite a shock that he's fully been let go. And I'd say that that's probably the biggest shock. But I do look forward to see, what he does next, whether he just goes to working backstage and helping younger talent move up, whether he decides to still go on indie scenes himself or look elsewhere at different promotions. I'll be intrigued to see what he does.
Yeah, without that. What's weird about Baron Corbin is that one of the first things I did on the podcast when we first started back in 2015, 2016, Breaking Ground was a documentary. It featured Baron Corbin coming through, young NXT talent. And at that time, I predicted he'd be WWE champion. I didn't know what would happen on the main roster, and that's what we're saying. You're never really sure, but at least we'll always have the Wolf Dogs. And then I just want to mention as well, Chris Bay, injury-wise, horrible incident on Impact, taping a couple of weeks ago as well. Hopefully he can make a full recovery. And also ELP as well, taking a break. Hopefully he can make a full recovery as well. But we get on Crown Jewel. We start with a kickoff, because they give us an hour kickoff the day before. Rahadi, Saudi Arabia. Michael Cole trying to sell us a holiday to Saudi. Jimmy was the first guest. Well, I guess. Jane soon followed with a monster pop. Cole asked if Jay could trust Jimmy, and Jay trusted him 100%. The fans were allaying as well. And I'll tell you what, Monty, we kind of touched on this earlier. Even the fans in Saudi Arabia now have kind of improved a little bit, whether they're being paid to or not. I mean, I'm not going to answer that.
Yeah, who cares if they getting free admission or whatever, or getting like you said, I don't know the details, but they are, like you said, definitely a whole lot better. And again, even if they're being prompted, they definitely did a good job of kind of continuing the trend of every time WWE leaves, to go to the other country. The crowd seems to be very reactive and seems to really be into it. And like I mentioned earlier, everywhere Jay goes right now, he just looks like, yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it might be some better wrestlers who are baby faces than Jay. Not only in WWE but just in wrestling. But you can't tell me anybody who, when you watch them make their entrance or when they go in front of a crowd, feel like a bigger star than Jay right now.
Yeah, no, without a doubt. The fans are laying as well. We see Randy was next. Owens interrupted. Security showed up. Triple H with the title belts and Goldberg chants. Then NXT chants. Triple H said, "Do you want to see us in Saudi?" Well, I don't know. Might be all right. What we did find out is the titles stay in Saudi Arabia and they get rings instead. That's fun. Nia Jackson, Liv Morgan with Raquel. There was no Tiff or Dom. Could they be together? Who knows? It felt rushed. But then Gunther, fans singing Gunther's theme. He got a few cheers. He soon sorted that out. Jackson, I don't know about you, Lo, but I'm a fan of Gunther, back to Volta, but I never thought he'd be that good on the mic, and he's killing it at this moment in time. Like, the fans were cheering here, and he's just like, you don't tell me you chill, and they just completely turned against him. Just brilliant.
Oh, I feel, do you know what? I feel like this is something that we were not able to see because of the way that he was like first booked when he first came to like sort of main roster. Because if you think about it, that was back when he was still known, like I think at certain points, like as Walter, just before that change, and we didn't really see him on the mic. We always saw the Kaiser on the mic, doing a lot of the sort of like build up and promos. So I think, they've got a lot of faith in Gunther now, and we are actually seeing how much faith he has in himself, not only as a wrestler and a performer, but also someone whose mic work has incredibly improved over the years that he's been on the roster. You can see the hard work that he's put into his physique, the hard work he's put into his pronunciations of things, and just overall his mic talk. Like he's really perfected like the type of wrestler he wants to be. Again, if we're even going back to that whole before he was known as Walter, and so many people would continuously chant that at him because everyone thought this was a Vince McMahon name change. But in truth, Gunther wanted to rebrand himself, and under that name, he has done so. So like this is all about like not only us as the fans or creative having faith in Gunther, but we are like slowly but surely seeing a very confident wrestler and a gentleman within Gunther that actually could carry this division and is carrying this division. So I mean, it's just excellent work on his end, and it just proves that hard work pays off. He is like the epitome of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And then finally, Cody. I mean, the shtick now is that No Rhodes has won a title outside of America. Next, it will be No Rhodes has never won a title on a Thursday. Like that'll be the next one. Who knows?
And it's working though. Like you're 100% right, but like everywhere they go, the people still care. Like I'm not mad at it. I'm very happy that he's still a good babyface. But you're 100% right, James. Like he's been kind of like picking little things to kind of make. He just need more things to overcome, more records to break, and it's still working for some reason.
And how dare Cody mention JBL after what he did to Joe Hendry? I'm not going to go there, but I am fucking furious, all right? On to SmackDown. No, Jack started the show, but was soon interrupted by Liv, Dom, and Raquel. Tiffany came out with a Money in the Bank briefcase. She had open to cashing in on either women at Crown Jewel. Where did this attitude come from, Tiff? She also asked if Dom comes with a title. Segment ended with Tiffy knocking Morgan off the apron, asked for the referee to come out. Liv beat her. But Gina, my main takeaway here was women can't resist Dom. That's right, isn't it?
100%. I mean, we're going to have Nia going for Dom soon, herself, because she sees the appeal.
It's the mullet.
It's the mullet.
She'll just hit him on the ground and throw him over the shoulder and walk off of him.
Yeah.
Mullet and a mustache, bro. Step your game up, James. Get that mustache.
He's something not said in a while, though. Pretty Deadly? Yes, boy. They finally had a match on SmackDown. Bad news? No, boy. They lost to the Profits. Lin-Manuel is really interested in Pretty Deadly musical, though. I mean, the rumours are it's going to be bigger than Hamilton. You've heard it here first, all right? But Pretty Deadly need to beat some team down to be taken seriously soon. That's all I'm going to say. And how bad was Indy the Ray versus Bailey Nomi if Hartwell got released before it? Do you know what I mean? I mean, that is harsh. I mean, how bad is that match where they preconceived it? And then Jimmy Uso, Roman Reigns came to the ring so Reigns and Jay could settle their differences before Crown Jewel. Jay came out and said he's only doing this to get back at Solo for costing the Intercontinental title, but his problem with Reigns are far from fixed. Jay said he wants to be three of them to be equals. If Reigns speaks down to him, he's out. Reigns said yeet, got a huge pop. Jimmy then put the ones up just like the old days. And that's how easy it is, Jaxie. See? Didn't need to apologise. The next argument you have, just say yeet, and we can all move on.
Noted. I will try that next time. I didn't know things could be so easy.
It was still family intervention.
Yeah, it really was. It actually was family that so hard to bring it together.
Yeah, Jaxie loves Charlotte. Yeet. See, we're fine. See,
my God.
We moved on. It's fine. I've yeeted.
Only you heard that, not me.
Yeet. Sky defeated Niven, Belair, and Legend. Randy Orton, Cody beat Gunther and Ludwig Kaiser. Kevin Owens showed up and attacked Orton with a chair, while Gunther choked out Rhodes with a sleeper. We then move on to Crown Jewel, November 2nd. There is no need for a 2-hour kickoff. I'm sorry, but there's not. Michael Cole, Big E, and Corey Graves. Outside were a crowd and not a lot going on. Big E ate a camel. I think it was cooked. He didn't just go out and start biting one, all right? It was cooked. Kathy Kelly interviewed KO. Owens has been silenced, but KO was wearing a cowboy Bob Orton top. And Monty, I don't know about you, but Owens is well and truly back. Well, until he loses to Cody, because this Owens is probably the best version of him, if you know what I mean, character-wise.
I just love how, like, at first, I saw some people thinking this was a negative, but I'm like, no, it just to me, it just shows me how great Kevin is, how he can go from when he was getting his ass whooped by the Bloodline for weeks. he did come off like a killer, and literally a couple weeks later, and like a couple betrayals, and we immediately remember that this guy is the prize fighter who can beat people down, and he's dangerous. And I just think that's just amazing versatility, because he's very likable and it works well when he's a babyface, but he's also, like you mentioned, he's at his best when he's a heel, but he's also very believable as somebody who beats people up and can be very vicious. And I just think that's why Kevin has been one of those guys who's been asked to do so much over the years. If you look at Kevin's career, you would think he would have achieved a whole lot more if you're just going off like titles and reigns. But really, from a character point of view, or from a storytelling point of view, he's been asked to do so much over the years, and that's why. It's because he's really versatile, and he's able to make you convinced and make you believe, whether you want to root for him, love, or laugh at him, or if you're supposed to be afraid of him. It really doesn't take much for Kevin to get you to, understand where he's coming from. And then this time, you can make the case that he's right, even though he's a little sadistic at this point. You can make the case and understand kind of how he got here.
I mean, he says it's Randy's fault, and I believe him. He thinks someone was paid to kill him. Don't think I believe that. Pete Rosenberg.
That was hilarious. That was Cody paid for his stuff to flip over. That was great.
Rosenberg is at home, luckily. Triple H was interviewed. It's the 12th Saudi event. And what a loving it was about how great Saudi Arabia is and how great WWE is. We get Cody and Tom Aspinall. I'm sure that matters to some. Jackie Redmond took over. Sheamus joined the panel. There was food. Cody sat down with Kathy. LA Knight interview. He uses Steiner math. You can take the man out of Impact. Can't take Impact out of the man. Pete Rosenberg again. Kathy in the crowd. Really fucking awkward. Graves and Cole's entrance. And that was it, really. That's it. 2 hours of kickoff. Jaxie, you ask me every time, is kickoff worth it? Did it sound it?
Absolutely not, and I didn't watch it for that specific reason. So thank you for letting me know. I didn't miss absolutely anything.
2 hours of my life I'll never get back. But here we go. It is the main show. It's all worth it. And the match WWE chose to open Crown Jewell was the Bloodline Civil War, with Reigns and the Sikoa's respective versions of the Bloodline fighting in a 6-man tag team match. Tangaloa was not part of the bout, but was still present. He, of course, is not allowed to the ring to compete, much like Stax. It's written into his contract, I'm afraid. The crowd in Rowdy went wild for the original Tribal Chief and the Usos. The show intros, the entrances took a combined 20 minutes, so it took a while for the match to get underway. I was just wondering, can we get longer entrances? Can we get like an entrance that's like 45 minutes long? Do you know what I mean? Like, that'd just be great. Entrance starts, by the end of it, end of the show, we can all go home.
Sure,
Jane
could do a 45-minute long entrance, couldn't he?
That's what, I mean, imagine like a triple threat between like Roman Reigns, Randy Orton, Undertaker. I mean, that's like 50 minutes. Isn't it? So, we got time.
Do a fatal four-way and chuck Cody in there. That's a good hour for you.
There you go. There you go. Give the people what they want. Jay and Tama started for the teams and took their time taunting each other between moves. Jimmy got the first tag of the match and the first tag between the Usos in almost 18 months, but only scored a 2 count. When Reigns asked for a tag, Jay tagged his brother instead. Signs of friction was beginning to show as Sikoa tagged in. The OTC and the Street Champ tagged in at the same time, began trading punches. Both men survived each other's best shots, but Sikoa, who emerged as a victor after taking out Reigns with 3 Samoan spikes. We weren't done there, though. Sikoa and his crew continued to assault Reigns and the Usos after the match. Sami Zayn marched his way to the ring. Sikoa held out his arms for a hug, and Zayn wanted to join him, but he unleashed an explosive suplex instead. But he ended up accidentally kicking Reigns when Sikoa avoided the hit. And Jimmy, Zayn argued while Reigns tried to recover. Oh, let me take a breath. A lot going on there, Gina, about the match in itself and Sikoa actually getting a massive victory and all the Sami Zayn shenanigans afterwards. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought the match was great. And to be honest, I kind of saw the outcome coming. Honestly, I feel like the match was great. I loved the opening because I feel like, there was a part when Jay was coming out to his entrance, and I think Roman was just looking around at the whole of the crowd, just seeing how lit the crowd were for Jay, and there was like a little proud smile on his face. So that was like a really nice, like, little cool, just to see him see how far Jay has brought himself. But no, I mean, I did feel like the heels were going to go over. We know that this bloodline feud is going to continue at least to War Games, because we know that's what they were alluding to. So we knew for a fact that whatever happened in this match here, this is still going to continue. So I had a feeling that something would happen because of the numbers game at the moment. The new bloodline are bigger in terms of numbers, so it would make sense for them to get this win over the Usos and Roman. And not only that, but even though we're all happy that Roman and the Usos are back together, like Jay said, even to Jimmy when they were making up, like, it can't be like last time. I'm not going to be your little right hand man. We've all got to have respect on equal grounds for each other. We're all here with each other, so you got to think they're kind of like not a brand new team working together again, but they're kind of trying to work in a new way cohesively, I guess. So it does make sense that they're going to have to go on to War Games to try and get this win. Now, does that mean they're going to have to, get with their entire old bloodline with Sami? Who knows? But that's what they're alluding towards with the end of this match as well, aren't they? No, I definitely enjoyed it, and I think Solo did well to try and, like, act like himself, but still be the tribal chief, or what he thinks is the tribal chief. I love what Solo's doing, and I think, like, he should just continue it, because I think he's really coming out of his shell each week. I feel like I see more personality from him, more of this trait from him, or something like that. So I would like to see Solo continue to be elevated in a way that we get to see more of his personality.
Yeah, without doubt. I mean, you made a couple of excellent points there as well. Jaxie, just pick up a couple of them. We talk about it. It's nice to see Jimmy and Jay get on, but as Gina mentioned, like, Sami is the penultimate piece maybe in the puzzle, but definitely the one that can, join the group and help them against the other bloodline.
Yeah, I mean, like I think this match in itself just kind of showed the how for me this felt like this was too soon for them to be reteaming back up. The communication was still not there properly, not as a cohesive unit as what they used to be, as how strong they used to be, and we started to see how that broke down. And this is what led ultimately to the sort of like whack finish, so to speak. So it's very interesting because of you just know that there's kind of future consequences that came out of like a mistake like that, and it's like where things go from here. This is all about testing the waters and the patience of the OG bloodline and whether or not they can actually continue to work as a unit to overcome like the new sort of tribal chief and bloodline. So it's an interesting concept because if you left that match feeling like you had more questions of what's to come next. So yeah, I think we'll discuss a little bit further into this soon anyway, but it did leave you wondering like kind of right, can they get over this little mishap? Or is this going to actually take them exactly back to where they were when they were isolating and ostracizing Sammy in the first place?
Yeah.
So it was quite interesting coming out of this match because you just felt like this is not over.
No, and it's never easy, is it? Like I said, Sammy,
No.
what a chance of Sammy kicking Roman. Oh, God, it's just what we need. But it was nice to see Jimmy and Jay get on. But as, Monty, as Jackson Jr. have mentioned, Solo probably at his best in this match as an intelligent heel in a way. And he has pinned Cody and Roman at PLEs this year. So, maybe it's not as bad as everybody's making out.
Well, I knew from the beginning. I've been saying this for a while. I'm not trying to act like I just know things better than anybody else. But a lot of people on the internet have, for a while, in my opinion, have been giving Solo a bad rap to me just because whatever they were assuming. I think a lot of the heat he's gotten has been on purpose. They wanted, if you feel like Solo is acting out of place or whatever, well, that's the whole point of the story. He's kind of overstepping. At least from where people feel like he's trying to be the tribal chief without earning it. And there's many different ways to earn it. Even though, like I said, I can go back to a couple other story beats back when Roman was literally named him the tribal heir. So you can literally see how he got here logically. But besides that, his work though, and like like you said, the personality. I think, James, if you remember, and that's the difference. It's kind of like we were talking about with the Motor City Machine Guns. If you watched them in Impact and you knew how great they were, then seeing them excel in WWE is something we always wanted to happen because we knew what they were capable of, but we just didn't know if they would ever get the opportunity. So it's not a surprise to see them do well. But for people who may not know them, like who are these guys? Know them, they're older, so some people may just have preconceived notions. So when it comes to Solo, I believe since a lot of people had only know like the enforcer, and they didn't get a chance to see the little time he had when he was the street champion. I don't think he was perfect as a street champion, but I do believe, James, you can attest to this. He had a whole lot more personality the little time he was in NXT initially, like with his promo skills, his presence, like all of that was there. He's nowhere near as good as I believe he's gotten now. But I just think you can kind of see a little bit of that then. But he got a new character where he was kind of like, I don't want to say Taz or Samoa Joe, but he was just like, he was an enforcer. He was quiet, his whole entire shtick was to kind of not break at all, no matter what was going on around him. So now that he is the lead guy, you're starting to see, okay, he, like you said, he has this, he has a personality, and then you mentioned, I think the rest of it is just in-ring experience, like you mentioned, looking like a smart heel inside the confines of the match. That comes with time. That comes with experience. That comes, like you said, working with baby faces like Cody. That comes with having multiple people in your corner to help you through these transitions. And I think, honestly, overall, putting him in this position, whether people thought he was ready for it, I mean, gotta understand, this is a guy who beat John Cena at this event just last year. So, they've always, in my opinion, thought Solo was ready for the moment. It just, it took time for maybe other people to see, no, they have something. It's kind of like a slow burn in a sense. And but like 100%, I believe Solo is ready for this moment, and he showed it a lot in this match. And I think this is what I've been waiting for. I've been kind of early, jumping the gun on predictions, trying to get this moment for Solo, because I've been one of those guys who felt like that was pretty much the only thing missing, which was some credibility and having him beat Roman clean, pretty much, and give him 3 Samoan strikes like that. And now, for the first time since he's ever said that, now you're like, you know what? Now I understand. You can call yourself the tribal chief. We may not think you really are the actual tribal chief, but now you finally earned it, and that's pretty much the only thing I felt like he needed was some credible victories, looking dominant, because that's what Roman did when he was tribal chief. He just, but by that point, when Roman became the tribal chief, he was already a made man. So I think Solo has done a great job, and this storyline has obviously done wonders for him as a performer.
Yeah, without a doubt. I mean, this is the thing. The only thing I'd change about the Solo story would be the night after WrestleMania, Solo taking out Roman. And then, you've kind of given a bit of heat already. But again, this coming a bit later is better late than never, as we say. And I'm going to do an impression of Jacob Fatu as well. So just warn everybody, because it's my favourite thing. Let me try it. I love you, Solo! That's my Jacob Fatu. Tama's noise has got over as well. Hard cam, the position of the fans, the screen behind him with the lights got my nerves, but I mean, that's about me. Out of 5, Gina, what would you score it?
Yeah, I was really entertained by this match, and even though I had a feeling of this outcome coming to fruition, I kind of felt like I couldn't take my eyes off the screen in case I missed anything. So I'm going to give this wait, it's out of 5, yeah? 4 and 3/4.
4 3/4. Jaxie?
Yeah, 4.5 for this match. It was good.
4.5. Monty?
I give it 4 1/4. Like I said, good stuff. Executed the story pretty good. I'm not gonna act like it was the greatest wrestling, but I feel like they're also kind of saving the stuff we've never seen before, possibly for that big match we all know that's coming. So, from a storytelling standpoint, it was great.
Yeah, without doubt, 4 1/4 for me. Predictions, there are Prediction League 2024. After Havoc, before Crown Jewel. Bonus League, Monty on 24, Gina and James on 15, Jaxie on 11. There is no chance on that one. WWE, Monty James on 5, Gina on 4, Jaxie on 2. So Gina needs to win today to basically stay in the race. AEW, Jaxie on 4, James Melton on 3, Gina on 2. Predictions here, we all went OG Bloodline, so all on 1. The women's tag titles were up for grabs in the Fatal 4-Way next, with Blair Cargill versus Jackson Legend, Sky Sane, and Green and Niven. And of course, EST, WWE, the Genius of Sky began, but anyone from any team could tag in at any time, so they're trying to avoid the corners didn't contain their own teammates. Sky got a little too close, and Green tagged herself in. To this point, the match for the series were quick tags and exchanges from all 4 teams. The final sequence had a few hiccups, but Blair and Cargill were able to retain the titles by taking out Niven with their finisher. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on this?
I really enjoyed this match. I thought it was really well put together, and I thought all 4 teams were so good. I felt like Chelsea and Piper just gave everything in that ring. They really deserve to hold the belt soon, because everything they do is highly entertaining, and they really kind of took a lot of my attention. We had some great aerial attacks from Kairi Sane and Io Sky, so we actually got a really great sort of montage of different moments of them being up in the air, and you just heard the crowd kind of getting excited at seeing sort of how high each of these women can really get. And then there was a great showcase for both Lash and Jackson, putting them really on par with the other women in this match who are sort of main roster veterans at this point. They really did, Lash and Jackson didn't really feel like they were sort of the newer team to the main roster. They kind of just fit in really well, and there were some great sort of power moments from both Piper Niven and Lash Legend. I kind of want to see them one-on-one, because I just think that match would be awesome. So I just thought that this match went really well. I really enjoyed this, and this was one of my favorite matches of the night. So I gave it a 4 3/4.
4 3/4. I mean, yeah, you're right. I mean, Monty, I never thought that Lash and Jackson would look this good, but they did.
As you keep repeating,
yeah,
by the way.
I've got even bigger facts.
You're
in a
obviously
minute.
shocked.
I'm gonna spell it out. But did you think they were gonna do it as well?
Well, I mean, I'm not the reason why I would only agree. It's not that I didn't think they could do it. The only reason why, think about how many actual tag matches they had on NXT television. Yeah, like right. They only had like 4 or 5 actual matches that we've even seen. So yeah, of course, I'm shocked at how good they are. But like I always told you, especially I mean, let's just be honest, James. Especially with Lash Legend. Because she's been around, but even Jakara has been around now for a while. And we know at the end of the day what NXT's purpose is. You have to be improving down there. And I like I said, I'm with you. I'm 100% like shocked at just how vast the improvements seem to be, or just how well. But it's mostly because again they haven't really showcased them, and since they did the stupid thing of taking the tag belts before they signed 30 more women or added 30 more women to television. They took the NXT tag belts away. Like they would be perfect. They would have been perfect to be like dominant tag champions if you telling me they had this up their sleeve for this long. And I'm gonna be honest with you, James. Like I knew Bianca trained Lash, so I guess that might have been the idea behind having Lash on, the idea of creating someone to be kind of in that spot. But like, if you look at the way people react to her and the way she looks on the main roster, I mean, you honestly you can go ahead and call Lash and just have her do her thing sooner than I ever expected, if you know what I mean. So, like I said, I saw the improvement like in a couple of the times they let Lash fight by herself on NXT. But again, as a team and just like you said, blending in with veterans, and I'm pretty sure having Bianca there and being in there with Jade or being in there with a veteran like EO and even Piper and Chelsea, like think about who they're in there with too. I think that does matter because they're in there. Basically, everybody in that ring they're with is veterans and people who can help guide them along and help put a good match together. But I'm not going to take anything away. Like you mentioned, they were great, and I honestly, like you said, I'm just proud, kind of in a sense, that they're still representing NXT. But like, think about that. Like, they're an NXT team, and they got to go over to Saudi Arabia and put on a pretty good show. And like I said, before you know it, we might be seeing them called up a lot sooner than we even anticipated, I believe.
I mean, I should say
if they're not already, by the way.
Yeah, goddamn, I love Chelsea Green. We speak about Chelsea Green, but Gina, I just want to speak to you because again, I've been doing this pod a long time, as you know. I'm the old man of wrestling, right? So when Lash Legend showed up, I didn't like her, and I said to Monty basically, cut her losses, let's get the job done. The last woman that I was that strongly against in NXT was probably about 8 years ago, and her name was Bianca Belair. So. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter. Sometimes we might think certain things and be completely wrong. I thought Baron Corbin was going to be W champion, and I think, Bianca and Lash, we should just let go. No, exactly. Do you know what I'm saying? But
no, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I love it when wrestlers that we don't have a high opinion on makes us change our mind about them. And there have been a few wrestlers that all of us have, thought that about, and it's not necessarily been the same one. So it's nice when that does happen.
I've been right every time. I'm just playing.
Monty, with his all-seeing eye, knows everything.
But we talk about the match anyway. I mean, Gina, this was just good to see. Like I said, was it 8 women just giving it the all on the PLE? We don't see it kind of enough sometimes, We complained with AEW last week, there's only one match. We are getting more than one, and hopefully there's more focus on the tag division as well.
Oh, for sure. I mean, especially because, we do know that they are hinting towards seeing Jade versus Belair. They are hinting towards that a lot. Even the commentary, made a little note about it. So I know that at some point the tag belts are going to come off of Jade and Bianca so that they can focus on their feud. But it doesn't mean that the tag titles need to be relegated in a status type of way just because Jade and Bianca are not holding them, So I really hope that they definitely continue to emphasize in both these tag belts, and when Jade and Bianca do relinquish them to someone, I just feel like the female tag teams need to stay and remain strong. Like, no more, apart from Jade and Bianca, which we know is going to come at some point. I'm sick of WWE just putting together teams to just break them apart, a couple months later.
Yeah.
So let's just really hope that they're going to actually, work on these teams solidifying themselves and showing us why they're going to be the next ones to carry the belts to the same level that Bianca and Jade wore them,
Yeah, without a doubt. So out of 5, then, well, Jackson, I got yours. So Monty, what's your score?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Gina?
4 1/4.
Yeah, well, I'm going to give it a 4 1/4 as well. Predictions, we want Bianca and Jade, so all on 2. Seth Rollins versus Bronson Reed next. Rollins with his usual jovial self. During his entrance, Reed had his usual look of disdain as he walked to the ring, but he didn't even make it halfway through before the visionary met him on the ramp to begin fighting. Rollins used his speed to keep the big man on defense, but he gave Reed too much time to recover and ended up being thrown over the barricade, into an office chair, into the timekeeper's area. They finally got the ring and the bell rang to make it official. Welts began to form on the visionary's back as the former North American champ decimated him. He kept finding ways to come back, but Reed appeared to have just as much energy and resistance. Reed looked like a monster as he shrugged off some of Rollins' biggest moves, and the crowd was eating up every second of it. Rollins had to hit several stomps, including one from the top rope, to finally put Reed away to get the win. Oh, God damn it. Monty, I mean, this is a great match, but I forget with monsters in WWE, or babyface even usually win the first match, if you know what I mean. But again, that's just semantics.
Well, I understood why you did what you did because, again, with the run he's been on, you want Bronson Reed to kind of pick up that victory. Not just early, but you just want him to do it because, again, what it would do for him. I mean, you see what just attacking him has done for him so far. So, coming out with a big victory to start it off, could have been a nice shot. But I kind of went with the fact that they were in Saudi Arabia too. That made me be like, they're probably gonna let Seth go over here. Even though I'm with you, I definitely thought. But I do think they did it right because at the end of the day, Bronson still came out looking great. I mean, look, he took 2-3 stomps or whatever, and he's bleeding by the end, and Bronson just basically stood up and was still standing down after it. Basically, not only signaling that it's not over, showing that he's a badass, he's tough, and he's going to take more than that to stop Bronson Reed. So they executed it really well, and I thought the match was good. Seth is in that stage of his career. I watched the interview with him recently, and he was talking about how he's done at pretty much everything he can do, or pretty much you can do in the company. So now it's about elevating other guys, younger guys, or new guys to that next level. And I just kind of love that he feels that way. Other than staying healthy, Seth Rollins pretty much at this stage wants to elevate new talent, and I think Bronson Reed is a great pick to get that elevation. If not by just having great matches, but also, like you said, possibly trading victories with Seth in these big moments. So this was a nice first step. It was a good match. And I give it 4 stars. I mean, I don't think it was anything wrong with it. And I think they actually have a chance to do even better down the line. But I think from a pure, I don't want to say David against Goliath type of deal, but of course, a big man with a smaller guy. But in this case, this is a monster who you cannot really keep down through normal means. For him to take all of that in the first match, imagine what it will take if they eventually do a 3-match series that we're expecting and have to blow it off, and what stipulation they might have to do. I can't wait to see how and what we're going to get out of this. But yeah, man, I feel great for Bronson, man. This is what we've been waiting for since he's returned, and I think. Again, so far with the momentum with the Braun Strowman feud, even though he kind of lost that feud, Bronson still feels like he could be one of those guys in line to fight Gunther at some point because that's just how big and dominating he feels right now.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think what's even more shocking, because we know how good Bronson Reed is, and Gina, when you think about this, with Bronson Reed's first single PLE match. So really, WWE main roster, we've only really scratched the surface of this character.
Yeah, definitely. I really agree. And like Monty just said, like they really played perfectly into the whole what will it take to keep Bronson Reed down kind of angle, and that really that angle really works for Bronson just to keep elevating him. I mean, I'm gutted he didn't get the win here because I went with him, but I also don't think it's hurt him in any way, shape, or form because I feel like Seth had to go through a lot just to keep him down, just to get that win. And if I feel like if they were to turn around to Seth and say you and Bronson are fighting Monday night straight after Crown Jewel, I would literally peg Bronson to win that second round. So again, it just shows that he really did put Bronson over, even though he still got the win here. And they worked well together. And it seems like the more they meet each other in the ring, the more creative they can be with each other.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. It's really, really good stuff between the two. And I felt what was interesting as well was, maybe not the result as much, but I heard Bronson Reed talking and saying that when he hit Rollins with the tsunamis to begin with, it was kind of like a Stone Cold at King of the Ring moment where, that is the start and he can build from there. And I think, Jackson, we can see that even when Bronson goes up for the tsunami, there's that sound in the crowd of like, oh shit, that is now a very important finisher in WWE.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Like, I think that they've done really well to kind of showcase that move and also kind of create a lot of hysteria around the type of damage that it can actually do. I think that both Monty and my sister brought up some really great points in this match, but it was I feel like ultimately, as much as what you were saying, James, about you really had thought that this was sort of a Bronson moment. You got to take into account the amount of sort of jaw-dropping moments that Bronson created throughout this match. So I don't think he actually even remotely looked bad throughout this match or even taking the loss here. Because, there was moments where picking up the steps, for example, he made it look so easy and things like that. And this is how someone like Bronson should be showcased, someone that can so easily change the course of a match. And it was due to his anger that really kind of got the better of him. If it wasn't for the fact that he picked up those steps, he wouldn't have got his head bounced off of it by Seth and things like that. But it's also to showcase how uncontrollable he is to himself. He can't even control his own anger to kind of keep his area awareness about him when looking to do these sort of devastating moves. And this is kind of what led to that downfall. But Bronson comes across as someone who just learns from each of his matches. So I can imagine the next match he goes into, he'll have a different sort of approach to it. In a way, even if it is still big, monstrous moves that we do get from him, there's just gonna he learns from all of his mistakes, and I'm just eager to see what devastation he's gonna pull off this time. In the next match, in the next feud.
We also saw Reed's gear was a tribute to rapper MF Doom. I hope I said that right. So Gina, what would you score this out of 5?
Yeah, it was really good. I'll give it a 4.25.
And Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm going to give this a 4.25 as well.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions? Well, Jaxie and Monty went Seth. James and Gina went Reed. I mean, what is going on? I mean, I don't mind Monty, but Jaxie getting Seth as well. What the fuck? Hey, yeet.
Hey.
Yeet.
Listen, what did we say at the beginning? What did we say at the beginning of this pod? We said that we were going to have positivity, going off of my win. Yes. So we're going to stick with that. Let me have my win.
All right, fine. Gina, James on 2, Jaxie, Monty on 3. And can I just say, fuck the Dodgers. The first of 2 Crown Jewel Championship matches are up next as Liv Morgan and Nia Jax fought for the gigantic belt. That will remain in Saudi Arabia. Morgan exploded out the gate with a dropkick as soon as the ref called for the bell. She tried to bring the fight to Jax but found herself on a mat after a headbutt. This was booked as usual, underdog versus monster match. Since both women were heels, the crowd didn't seem to favour one or the other at first. Tiffany Stratton ran down with her Money in the Bank briefcase, and Jax tried to tell it wasn't the right time. Tiffany was told to leave, but she had a change of heart. Raquel Rodriguez tried to stop her from cashing in. The distraction allowed Jax to take out both women and her opponent at ringside. Dominic Mysterio tried to slide the briefcase in, and when the ref went to remove it, Rodriguez shoved Jax off the top rope. Morgan used the opportunity to hit a finisher for the pin and the win, and Triple H was there to present a tearful Morgan with the belt after the matchup. But Gina, I don't know about you, but this was a fucking mess at times.
Pass. That's how I feel.
It was a bit messier. So there were some moments where it was kind of like, was it meant to go like that sort of thing, you know?
Yeah. And not only that, like this is the issue you have when you have like a heel versus heel match, because in a way, like Liv felt like the face in this match because everyone hates Nia more than they hate Liv, you know. So it's just very difficult to call this match, especially because, you know, Nia is that much more of a bigger wrestler than Liv. Liv is quite tiny as well. It's just like my disbelief at Darby Allin losing to Brody, you know, at the fact that, like, look at the stature of them both. In my eyes, Brody should have won. In my eyes, Jax should have won. So because of some of the messy spots that they had in this match, I don't think that helped when Liv got the win, because I kind of was still.
I feel like it was timing issues as well, though. Like, you know, there were certain spots where it just felt like either wrestler were kind of waiting for the other one to sort of catch up with what they were meant to do next, sort of thing. Like they were just a bit like sloppy with that.
Yeah, but I guess this is like, you know, pushing on what the guys were talking about earlier when they said the two championship matches that are between all the main champions on the rosters are kind of just, those matches are there just for the sake of these new championships that have been created rather than actual story.
Definitely.
Like, whereas all the other matches that were on this card had actual legit storylines that had expected outcomes, you know. With these two matches, because they were just put together for the sake of it, I don't know if that, you know, then made them plan the match a bit rushed, and that's why they couldn't keep up with each other's spots. I'm not sure, but either way, it just wasn't the best match from both Nia and Liv, and we've seen good matches from them both. So it just wasn't my favorite match, if I'm being honest.
No, I completely agree. I mean, Monty, forget predictions. Was Liv the right choice? You know, because like we talk about with Nia being as dominant as she has been.
It would have been nice. I just think it would have been nice for Nia to win it. I wouldn't have minded because she stood tall. My logic with predictions. She already stood tall over there this year. You know, when she won Queen in the Ring, and I just, from my point of view, I think she probably is the better choice, but also Liv Morgan has literally two managers and pretty much a faction. I mean, I know the faction didn't really need to come out, but like all of those moving pieces, that's kind of what went into my logic. It's like they're very useless if they don't get involved. So like that's kind of like, that was my logic. That's probably why I justify her winning it the way she did. But to piggyback off what the girls have already kind of said about the match, I think what you mentioned, James, earlier about the fact that we don't have much story is why the wrestling, in my opinion, and I think that's what's going to help the later match. The wrestling has to be pretty good, or at least interesting, because it's not really a story here other than, you know, this belt that's going to turn into a ring, which is going to sound like it's going to be a great accomplishment because you're going to be the first. But at the same time, when we thinking back, you know, how next year, if we think about maybe next year Crown Jewel, but outside of every year at Crown Jewel until they're done doing this, if they ever are done doing this, going to Saudi Arabia, no one is going to really care about bringing up the Crown Jewel Championship. Even though I don't mind the whole, we're gonna see who stacks up the most rings somewhere down the line or whatever. Like okay, that's cool. You know what I mean? But again, it's not, let's not get it twisted. Like they both have championships that are more important, and then even then, the only way that people are really gonna care about this if you're not going to give them a narrative as if it's two wrestlers we want to see fight, a la Gunther and Cody. Like, these are two guys that you're not really going to see be on the same show much, so you're kind of more interested in that. With Liv and Nia, we have two heels who are already kind of enthralled in their own narrative, even with Rhea's injury. It's kind of weird, in my opinion, like you mentioned, to kind of put that match together. And I think that's probably why this was so clunky. But also at the same time, man, it's just a lot of moving pieces. I'm very tired of Tiffany. We get it, guys. She got the briefcase. She can do it at any time. But like every match Nia Jax has that's a title match, we're gonna get this tease. Like, I don't want to see her again until she finally pulls the trigger. Almost at this point, because at this point, like, I was hoping, it would have messed up my prediction. Or I don't know. I think it probably would have messed up my prediction. But I wouldn't have been mad if they just made a triple threat and did what Tiffany kind of teased, saying she'll walk away with the big gold belt and a new championship. I wouldn't have minded if they would have found a way to do that. And whoever she picked, she could have just became the new champ. Like, because it would have at least been something unexpected or like something interesting compared to what we end up getting. But running her out there just to do the same thing we've seen happen a billion times at this point, and then to then you have to add on, okay, well, we got Raquel out here. She got to do something. Let's have her stop Tiffany. Oh, we got Dominic out here, so he has to do something. Let's do this. It's just like, oh, okay. Not only was the wrestling itself sloppy, it was just overbooked. So it's just like, okay, let's just get this over with. And then it barely was 10 minutes. Like, there's so many flaws with this one match. So it was just overall like not the best stuff in general, you know?
Yeah.
And like you mentioned, I think booking two heels and then booking champion versus champion had them really trying to figure out, how do we get out of this, make everybody look good, but at the same time, Liv still gets her moment. That's why I feel like it was so convoluted, because really from a concept, it's already very convoluted, if you see what I'm trying to say.
Well, even when you haven't got the kind of, like I said, the face and heel dynamic, then you're going to struggle a little bit.
Right.
And again, like you said, Tiffany is annoying me because the 1 week she doesn't come out is when she's going to cash in. And I think, as a rule now, we should stop the attempted cash-in. Just for a couple of years. You know, just if you're going to do it, do it. If you keep fucking around, I'm just going to take the briefcase off you and be like, no. All right, this is confiscated for a couple of weeks.
We should put a limit on attempted.
Like,
a limit on attempt. You can only attempt like twice. And after that, we're taking it from you, because we just because you can't do this every week, man.
No, we can't have this. So scores then, Gina, what would you give it?
It wasn't my favorite match, so I'll give it a 3.5.
3.5, Jaxie?
Yeah, this is a 3.5 for me. I have to agree with a lot of the points that Monty said as well. So 3.5.
Monty?
Liv worked hard to get here, so I'm gonna be nicer than I wanted to be, but I'm gonna give it 3.25.
Yeah, I'm gonna give it 3 3/4. And no one, you know, should have a go at how Liv Morgan reacted to winning that title. Do you know what I mean? Because no one's felt more than Liv Morgan at that moment in time. I know it doesn't matter overall whether it is, but it meant something to her. So again, not a bad moment. Predictions: girls went for Jax, boys went Liv. So Monty on 4, James and Jaxie on 3, Gina on 2. As we get Randy Orton versus Kevin Owens. As Orton posed on the middle turnbuckle during the entrance, Owens attacked him from behind with a steel chair to the knee. The Viper fought back before he could be powerbombed on the announce table and dropped KO on it instead. Ref took the chair from Owens and ended up taking a stunner for his trouble. Orton fought back with the chair as officials ran down to try and stop him. Michael Cole said officials waved off the match to continue to fight and attack anyone who tried to stop him. The Viper delivered an RKO to Adam Pearce before they fought into the crowd, and Owens put Orton through some tables with a flying elbow drop to finally end the scuffle. Jaxie, I know it wasn't a match, but I mean the crowd didn't care really, did they?
Yeah, I know. They still had like a lot of fun with this, even if it wasn't a match. But like, I mean, yeah, I kind of feel cheated, you know, about actually getting a match out of this. But it's like shit still went off, you know. It was a bit it was chaotic right from the start, because like Kevin went from 0 to 100 like real quick, like didn't even get the match started. bringing out chairs. Like the minute he stunned the referee, I was like, oh, and we're done. It was quite hilarious when you saw him stun the referee and just think to yourself, yeah, we're already done with this match. Like shit has just popped off. Then you have the officials coming out. Then you have fucking Randy Orton RKOing Adam Pearce. Like it just became a mess. Chaos erupted. You know, it is no doubt that like this was meant to go just off the rails and create this like mass hysteria of like Kevin Owens just going on a rampage. This gives me real vibes of Bronson Reed, like where when it comes to like Kevin Owens, in terms of like just his anger has erupted and he's not able to control himself and he's just gonna just go for it, So this for me still was really fun to watch because I'm like, where do we go from here? Like what this went from being about like Cody and like Kevin Owens just feeling like betrayed that he's now teaming up with Roman, but like I just feel like this has gone way beyond Cody. This is now like KO just taking all his anger out on Randy. Randy is the punching bag in this situation and he's not taking no shit. So it's almost like they've like kind of phased like Cody out of the situation and this has become a feud of its own between RKO and Kevin Owens. I'm hoping that this will inevitably lead on into the next pay-per-view where we will actually see a legitimate match. But maybe this time, Adam Pearce, you might want to just make this like, no disqualification or something. Might make things easier.
Yeah, we're right. I mean, again, it was fine for what it was. But I tell you what, if anybody doesn't like the bonus league or Monty's lead more than me, it's Triple H. Because I tell you what, Monty, he let you down again with this result, and it's a shame. I'm so upset for you.
Yeah. The crazy thing is he almost didn't because I figured he didn't have the balls to make one of these guys lose. But I just didn't want. I was like, it's a pay-per-view. There's no way he's gonna go no contest. So I just went with my gut and just went on here. Okay, well Kevin should win because they're building him up to fight Cody again. At least that was my thought. And it just would be more effective if I figured he would hurt Randy like afterwards or something like that, or they were brawled, or something would happen afterwards. I wasn't really expecting them to just do it that way, but man, it was a good time. I say that when you take predictions out of it, it really was. I was like, you know what, this is good. It's a good idea to do it this way because it fits. I think this is one of those situations where it's like if you're a new wrestler. If you're a new wrestling fan or a new WWE fan, you're gonna enjoy this because damn, these two guys are just going at it, and man, this is personal. But if you are somebody like guys like people like us who've been able to watch both of these guys, you know that this is right within their nature when it comes to being out of control in a sense. Like Randy is gonna match your energy of going crazy if you want to be crazy. So this just makes sense that it would end this way. That's why him doing RKO on the ref made 100% sense because if you take Randy to that place, he can go there, and we all know that that's basically where Kevin is at now. So I just love that element of it. That that makes a lot of sense. When you consider who we're talking about, that this would go that way. But yeah, from a predictions point of view, it was definitely kind of like frustrating that we get the entire match. Not even one of those fluke DQ type of victories. It would have been nice if one of them just got DQ'd or whatever, and somebody got something out of it, but no contest. But yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, no, my heart breaks. Gina,
sure.
with this. Again, as we've talked about here, this is about building Kevin Owens up to be Cody Rhodes' threat, and if he has to run through Orton, then so be it. We need a heel on that level.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Kevin can do that, especially because of how personal they've made it between them, how close like Kevin is to Cody and to Randy, and for this to be happening. I mean, it can go one of two ways, because I thought it was going to be Randy to turn on Cody and Randy be going the heelish way. So who knows? Maybe like Randy will just, if he can't beat him, join him, sort of thing, and then joining Kevin at some point, and they end up becoming, some terror twins.
Put that past him.
Yeah.
I really wouldn't put that past him. Like the voices in his head, if he just listens,
And
Well, they got the rated RKO T-shirts.
Yeah, exactly. You can go either way here, but I definitely agree with you. They're definitely trying to build Kevin up more to be that much more of a scarier foe for when he eventually comes up against Cody.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. So unfortunately, out of 5 and predictions and unapplicable there. So Monty on 4, me and Jaxie on 3, Gina on 2. The United States Championship on the line in a triple threat match as LA Knight defended versus Andrade and Carmelo Hayes. All 3 men started fighting as soon as the bell rang. The megastar was super kicked out of the ring by both opponents, leaving Hayes and Andrade to duke it out. I mean, to be fair, I can't do it justice. And, but this was really fun. I will say that. Just go and watch this match. Knight retained his title by hitting his finisher to both men at the same time and pinning Hayes. But again, Monty, I mean, I don't want to sound like old men here, but we spoke about Solo Sikoa, and now we're getting, I know Andrade's involved, but LA Knight and Melo managed to show off in the PLE. It's good times.
Yeah, man, we had it good in NXT, man, right? Even in 2.0, both of these guys were in that horrible era of 2.0. But look at what 2.0 can give you guys. No, but yeah, man, Melo, obviously I'm very proud to see him in this spot. He fit, again, I think we at this point, I've said it on many different shows with you, just how he can fit with pretty much any opponent. He's shown that. LA Knight also showing his versatility, and I think this match kind of felt like WWE's answer to the great triple threat with Ricochet, Ospreay, and Takeshita. It's a completely different style, but it's still some of the best wrestling in the world, in my opinion. If you just think about the quality of the match and everybody involved, and Andrade again, I think we all know he's one of the best, but every night he gets out there and Triple H just let him do what he do best. Don't make it too convoluted. You don't even need it to be a crazy storyline. Just put Andrade in that ring. And I wish he'd do this with Dragon Lee also. Guys like Dragon Lee and Andrade, just let them go. Chad Gable, just let them go out there and tell stories in the ring. They can do both. And we can obviously tell WWE style stories, but you can just see Andrade's talent and just how he shines in this spotlight in this match also alongside a young guy like Melo. And then the finish was just spectacular, just very creative. You can tell that all 3 guys are trying to make names for themselves, because for you to go out there and give this type of effort when you could have just gave a house show quality match and the Saudi Arabian crowd probably would have had a good time. But to go out there, put this type of effort in to make the United States title scene feel like a scene again, I think these 3 guys deserve all the credit in the world for that, because, when Logan Paul had this belt, it never got defended. It was going back into the old days when the mid-card titles were afterthoughts. And we talk about what Braun Breaker and Jay and all that, what they've been able to do on Raw. But for what these 3 guys are doing currently for the U.S. title division, hopefully they can add a couple more people into this spot to give it a real division feel. But what they're doing so far is to kind of lay those bricks down for this era of the United States title division. I thought this match was a perfect example of just I got 3 guys going out there trying to build up their status in WWE, and this is, like you said, just one of the best matches you can see. I don't have anything particular to point out other than, like you mentioned, just please, this is one of those things that you really need to seek out from this show, because it was one of the best triple threats probably of the year. It might not get the acclaim that the Ospreay and the Ricochet and the Takeshita match would, but I really felt like this felt like WWE saying, no, we got 3 guys we can go out there and just let them cook, and this is what they did. And I thought this was really good, man. Really good stuff. I gave it 4 3/4.
Yeah, no, the finish was great as well, as you mentioned, And another thing you mentioned as well was Logan Paul. I think he had maybe 2 title defenses. I think LA Knight is on 6, and Gina, we've seen with LA Knight, he is putting in the hard work, to try and make this run with the US title a memorable one, and fair play to him,
Yeah, definitely. And I'm literally happy for him because he has been doing that, Again, there's no shade on LA Knight, but I do feel like Andrade and Hayes really brought, their shines out here. But Knight has definitely elevated the belt itself since winning it, you know. And again, for me, I think he was probably the best person to take it off of Paul. And now with, like Monty just said, the abundance of people that they've got in this division, and if they can bring a few more, like, I don't know, Dragon Lee, like you suggested, I think like we could have such a great US run and have that belt really feel like it's, you know, up there along with all the others. And especially with the introduction of the females US belt coming in, you know, it's times like this that you want that belt feeling so elevated that it's up there, that it's really strived for, and it's not just going to be a castaway belt. So no, I definitely love this match, and it's 4 3/4 from me as well.
Yeah, 4 3/4. An LA Knights custom belt as well. Well, the strap is a pretty cool thing. But Jaxie, I'm going to get your thoughts on this. But you went Mello as well. Was there any reasonings behind that, or you just been impressed with him?
Yeah, I mean, do you know what? To be honest, I thought that I went into this match thinking, you know, current champ versus a veteran sort of US champ being in Andrade. Like we could see like a major, like what LA Knight and some fans would call a major upset, or you know, potentially like, you know, something the start of something new with like, you know, some up and coming. We've seen it happen when, you know, the Motor City Machine Guns, you know, have been entrusted the tag belts, and they've not been part of the main roster for long. And you know, you've got to look at sort of like what Carmelo has managed to achieve on his current run so far with a bit joining the main roster. So I didn't have it like a full sense of him being able to win it, but I did gamble with this one, and I think it was because, you know, if that did happen, I think Melo could actually like make it work. You know, I think that he has shown incredible talent against the likes of Andrade, and again, kind of like, you know, leading a good bout of 7, even though we've not got a clear definitive winner out of that bout of 7. So I had faith in him that he could actually pull off that sort of surprise win, that surprise title change, especially because of the interference that LA Knight sort of brought into their final match of the seventh match. Yeah. You know, I kind of thought maybe this will be a little like fu to LA Knight from Carmelo, to be like, you know, you too busy focusing on Andrade thinking he's the threat. Well, it's actually me, you know. And I still think that could still be the case at some point, because again, just like you all pointed out, this match was so great. It's really hard to like describe it to someone without you guys just going and seeing how great it is yourself. And I think each man looked so strong in that match that even with Knight retaining the title, I don't think that this did anything to dampen either Andrade or Melo. Like this triple threat really showcased what all three of them can do, what their strengths are. And as Gina even said, I think we've got a very strong roster of candidates for the US title. And I think LA Knight is doing a great job of making like the worth behind that belt feel real when you've got candidates like Andrade and Carmelo, who easily could have, both of them could have easily taken that belt like that from him. You know, so I like what they're doing currently with the US title run and with the US division. Like you guys said, bring some more like new upcoming faces like Dragon Lee and stuff into this, and I think you've got a really good chance of like making it as just as important as what John Cena did back in 2014 or so.
Yeah, I think right. And again, we spoke about, you know, what makes Andrade versus Melo even bigger in the next match. Maybe the US title being online, and you have to take a risk. You know, like I said, with Monty and Gina being the way they are with predictions, you and I have to go on a limb, and sometimes with Bronson Reed and Carmelo, it comes back to us. But we're going to score out of 5.
I'm also going 4 3/4 on this. This was really good.
4 3/4 across the board there. I'm going that as well. Predictions, like I said, Jaxie went Melo, the rest went LA Knight. So Monty on 5, I'm on 4, Jaxie, Gina on 3. And the main event of the night was the men's Crown Jewel Championship match, Gunther versus Cody Rhodes. And they were slow to lock up and circled each other as the crowd chanted on and off. Made them pause for a moment, take it in, before finally going with exchange of wrist locks. The ring general out-wrestled American Nightmare for a few minutes, so they kept it simple and focused more on grappling than anything else. There was a real old-school feeling to this. But he did up the intensity. Both men started to take more risks, go for bigger impacts. Rose tried everything to combat Gunther's brutal style and seemed to come up short at every turn. American Light began to show signs of life after spending several minutes being punished by the ring general. He was able to counter the sleeper by rolling back into a pin, defeat Gunther, and win the Crown Jewell Championships. Gina, what are your thoughts on this?
I mean, I thought the match was great. Again, it's hard to have like a lot of heart into this match when there's no real storyline behind it, and it's just for the fact that it's champion versus champion. I think my main worry in this match was, how are they going to have one of them lose without making them look bad? Because they're both the champions, and I don't think either of them should be looking bad at this point. It's hard to say. In any case, they did put on a good match. I feel like Cody was good in terms of finding ways around Gunther, because Gunther is a little bit more taller, a bit more bigger than him. So I think he did find ways of, eluding him and getting around him, getting crafty with reversal roll-ups and stuff. I think that was all good in terms of trying to, wear Gunther down and stuff. So in a way, am I gutted? Yes, because of my predictions, but I'm also not surprised, but in my eyes, because Liv was the face in hers, I'm like, okay, so you gave both the Crown Jewel champions to the faces of the matches. So I don't know, it's not that it left a bitter taste in my mouth, but I was just like, okay, next, because this match didn't really have anything other than just, this title or this ring now behind it. So yeah.
And again, I think the other thing, and Jaxie, I don't know about you, but I'm annoyed I didn't see this coming. I thought Gunther with a sleeper, and this is what WWE were leading me to. They were spoon feeding me this finish, and I didn't see it coming.
Yep. I mean, you and me both. You and me both on this one. Do you know how sort of I wanted it to be sort of like Gunther on this one, but I just kind of felt like they were going to give this to Cody. Now, I don't know. I feel like maybe I'm reading too much into Twitter, right? But like, I feel like going into this match, the creators were like, we need to kind of reinvigorate the hype behind Cody, because it's kind of dying down a little, and this was a way to do that, to give him yet again another first. I think personally, this has nothing to do with Cody Rhodes when I say this, but I think personally they went with the wrong move here. I feel like Gunther would have had so much more of an impact winning that title, not just in Saudi Arabia, but across the WWE fan base that really are behind him as a wrestler. And I really think that they missed the opportunity to elevate someone who really, doesn't actually have sort of an iconic name or anything like that behind him, but that has earned the respect of that from across the universe and stuff, the WWE universe. Again, this is in no disrespect to Cody, because I don't really feel like Cody needed that another notch behind his belt, or that other win personally. I felt like this could have done more for Gunther as a wrestler, and
Rhodes had never won the title overseas, Jaxie. That's how important.
I know. I know that that's what we're going with, but again, Rhodes didn't need said notoriety on that. Imagine the likes of what Gunther has already done and built for himself as well. This just really would have solidified the current run that he's had, sort of being that champion for 666 days, losing it, but then picking up the world title straight away, that sort of thing. This would have just been a major accomplishment for Gunther, and I think it would have probably come across a bit differently if if he had won it, not in terms of elevation, any more elevation or anything, but just in terms of when you look at their sort of career highlights. I think that this will be something that, as a career highlight on Cody Rhodes, this is probably just going to be overlooked a little bit, not to pay too much attention to.
This won't be number one. Yeah.
Yeah, but like for someone like Gunther to have that on his career record would just like look so much more great. Do you know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm trying to say? This is nothing to do with Cody at all or deserving it. I just think that this would have done more for Gunther than it did Cody.
I completely agree, but if I'm going to be even more pessimistic, when I go to Monty now as well, it just felt the heating Cody up full of rock, you know. And I don't know about you, Monty. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's just what it felt like with this win.
I think we need to pick a stance here on how we actually feel about this belt, because y'all talking about this like anybody care at the end of the day about this. Like it's not that big of a deal.
I feel like it's more. No, wait. Can I just quickly
clarify? Helps Gunther,
I feel like it's more about. No. I feel like it's more like it's like one of those like again career sort of highlights sort of things more than like it being like anything about the belt itself. Do you know what I mean? I think it's just it's because it's the first ever. Do you know what I mean? So that on Gunther's career record would have looked great.
I get you.
But that is the only reason why I'm saying, like, you know, that's why I don't really feel like Cody needed to win this match. And they could have easily spun it with having like Ludwig Kaiser come out and create a distraction or something to still save Cody on that front.
Yeah,
I just think because it was like, yeah, I don't know. Yeah, again, because if it was like, you know, first ever, again, when you're looking at career track records and stuff, that just would have looked better on Gunther's, I think. Like it wouldn't have been as overlooked as like what Cody's career record is going to look like. It's not going to miss. Cody's record wouldn't have missed having that on his notch. But again, like James said, Rose has never won a title over Sinclair.
Gunther has only been pinned by 4 people, dog. Like I don't think he need much. Yeah. He's only been pinned by 4 people.
And like, you're right.
In like years. So like at the end of the day, people don't. Gunther don't lose a damn thing to me in this situation. My beef about this is mostly because the only reason why I picked against Cody, because I don't know about y'all, but as soon as I saw that belt, I was like, oh no, they made that for Cody. Like let's go look good around Cody way. Like I just immediately knew it. That's the only reason why I picked against him is because I thought Triple H was gonna give us, like I just mentioned, every match on here except these 2 matches had narrative. So I was like, no, Kevin will still be I didn't know they were gonna brawl and Kevin no one would ever come back. So I thought Kevin would come out there and get involved and screw Cody, because I'm still thinking about it from that point of view. But I do understand what you guys say. I don't necessarily disagree that it would have did more for Gunther to get the achievement. I also went for him to win it because I also could imagine Gunther standing there posing with the belt and doing that. Like it made sense. That's why I didn't really think who won actually mattered as much. But I do think social media just I don't know who these people are. I don't know if they just really love Roman and wish he never dropped the belt. But a lot of people, if you go off social media, Cody Rhodes is one of the worst babyface champions of all time. But if you go off the money WWE is making off him and Jey Uso's merch, he is one of the best babyfaces they had in years. Like Cody Rhodes is selling out all these arenas. Every little kid still wearing his merch. Everywhere they go, they still care about him. Like I get it from a narrative standpoint. We all know that it's not his fault. It's WWE's fault for painting him in that corner. Wow, well, we're gonna have to wait on The Rock. Because we all know the big thing that Cody has coming up is The Rock. So everybody feels like a placeholder. Or even Randy turning, or even Kevin eventually coming back for him. All of this stuff feels like placeholders. So I kind of feel like some of that does Cody a disservice. Like I don't think Cody is doing anything wrong. I just think some of it is we got big matches that a lot of the fans want to see get paid off. And Cody is just kind of having to wait here while they build. I think, honestly, WWE has to do a better job. They're trying now. That's why you turn Kevin. That's why you have to do what you're doing. But like the fact that we're waiting this late into Cody's run, and now we're trying to build up heels and make them feel credible enough to take down Cody. That's on WWE. That's not necessarily on Cody that he feels out of this stratosphere. But honestly, after you beat Roman, what else was going to happen, if you see what I'm trying to say? Like, he beat Roman Reigns, who also felt above the whole roster. And I mentioned that about Gunther. Cody has only been pinned by 2 or 3 people since he came back. So like
Drew McIntyre
pinned him. McIntyre pinned him. I think I don't know if Solo.
I think
Yeah, okay. Well, okay, I get why you're trying to point it out. But yeah,
No, Solo
he's
pinned
only
him,
been
didn't he,
pinned a
at
couple
PLE,
times,
so
like The
yeah.
Rock. Yeah, only a few people that pinned him. So both of these guys are still at the top of the company. That's why this match at the end of the day, to me, was about the wrestling, and I thought the wrestling was excellent. They could have probably went in even a better gear, but like you mentioned, Jay, when you book a match like this, you're trying to protect them. You're trying to save it because you never know if you need to come back to this down the road, down the line for it to an actual storyline, which I think would be good one day because this was really good stuff. I just think also the way Cody Rhodes, like they set, like you said, they set up the finish perfectly, man. Like 3-4 times, Gunther just kept going for that damn sleeper hold, and it's just like Cody keep getting out of it. Gunther, I don't know why you keep trying it, and it just they set it up perfectly. Again, so just smart guys, like they're so smart. I give a match overall 4.25, but I don't really think at the end of the day, other than saying who's the first, I don't really know how much who won this match is gonna matter. But I do know in the moment, I thought it was cool to see Cody there winning it, even if I picked against him. Because in my opinion, in it, I felt like right now we all know Cody is the guy, and everywhere they go, the people for the most part really give it. They're not turning on Cody as fast as some people thought, and I think because we've all been in this era of WWE where Roman was on top for 4 years. We have forgotten what it's like to actually ride the wave long term of a babyface. Yes, it's peaks and valleys. Even when John Cena was the guy, I don't feel like it was ever this clean, like straight up. People really love Cody. You know what I mean? Like John Cena was still getting the John Cena sucks. He was still getting that. So like until it started happening, eventually it will. I think we all know it will happen. But right now, just ride the wave and let Cody pick up all the achievements that he can do because, like you mentioned, James, he is going to be facing off against the final boss. So I don't think it's a bad thing at all if that's what they're trying to do. But all these narratives about where Cody's standing that's an internet thing, man, because going off business and just going off the way he's been booked, find me somebody booked stronger.
Well, the thing is as well, and you mentioned merchandise, and Jey Uso, I think, this month or the past month, sold more merchandise than Roman Reigns and CM Punk combined. What people didn't mention was Cody was still ahead of him on the list. So, like you said, until that
Cody's still
starts
number
going
one.
down, then people. But no, I can understand. Like I said, both ways. So scores, Monty, you give him mine. So Gina, what would you give out of 5?
I'll give it a 4.
Give it a 4. Jaxie?
I still agree with a lot of the stuff that Monty said about the wrestling being good, but again, like was just feeling like a little bit, like I said, more like that. I felt it was more in Gunther's favor. But that being said, that makes a lot of sense the way that Monty like talks about the fact that Cody has beaten Roman. So like, what's to come next? And it makes sense. It should be The Rock coming next. So, when you look at it from that point of view, it does make sense that he kind of wins like something like that to kind of continuously put him over. But he also makes a very good point of we actually haven't had like a babyface like title holder for a while. I think we're all kind of forgetting the trials and tribulations and the ups and the downs that comes with a babyface holding the belt. So I feel like he made some really valid points there. Overall, though, I still think that this was a really decent match, and I'm still going to give it a 4.25.
4.25. I'm going to give it a 4.5. Predictions all went Gunther. So final scores: Monty on 5. I'm on 4. Jaxie, Gina on 3. So Monty with the win. So the WWE Prediction League, what it means is Monty is in 6 points. I'm on 5. Gina on 4. Jaxie on 2. It means Jaxie and Gina are out of the running. And the only hope to stop the juggernaut, which is Monty, is me at Survivor Series. But to be fair, I mean, I don't normally concede so early, but Monty, you have been on fire since the very beginning of the year. So, I mean, it would be a travesty if I do draw at Survivor Series, but I'm hoping, mate,
Yeah, I'm hoping you don't. It's my birthday. That's my birthday show. I gotta win it. It's in November. It's my birthday show. I gotta do what I have to do. So yeah. No. To be honest, man, I can't call it, bro. Like I'm not doing anything special. I'm just happy that Triple H is. Because really, for the most part, He's just safe. I think that's what it is. Like for the most part, he's just safe so far, and I think that's where I've been getting by. Is that when I think he takes a chance, most of the time he don't. So I just be like, you know what? Let's just ride the wave and see how it goes. But yeah, it's a lot of luck that goes into these things, man. Y'all know how it is. And but also, I gotta say, as good as it would be to go ahead and win Survivor Series wholeheartedly if I do draw, I'm more focused on trying to figure out full gear because I want to be at the top of 3 leagues. I want to dominate. You know, like I'm feeling competitive.
Can I just say? Right, I mean, Monty's saying all this, everybody listening, right? He is terrible at year-end predictions, all right?
Yeah,
so
I told y'all, I told you, I had to do good because my year-end predictions, and I know I might not get anything this year, guys. I might not get anything off
Malik
all of
played,
those predictions.
Just saying.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. I might not get anything, so anyway. I had to do something.
Yeah, well, I don't want to get into a shouting contest, so let's do overall then. So, Gina, I'll come to you. What is your match of the night and your MVP?
Oh God! Why me first? Okay.
I'll come back to you. I'll be nice.
No, it's fine.
No. Go on then.
Do you know what? I'm just going to give my match of the night to Roman and the Usos versus the Old Bloodline. I'm just going to... No, scratch that. I'm going with the triple threat. Sorry. Let me go with the triple threat. That's my match of the night. And I'll give... I'm going to give Solo my MVP.
I love you, Solo.
I love you, Solo.
Jaxie, what about you?
I am actually going to go with the women's fatal 4-way tag match for my match of the night. I just really enjoyed it, and I liked what all of the teams did. So yeah, I'm glad that we actually got that fatal 4-way. I'm going to give my MVP of the night to Bronson because I think that Bronson Reed because I think that he still looks really good. Even though he took that loss, and I think like the match itself was like a really good one between them. So I'm going to give him MVP.
Awesome. And Monty?
Yeah, triple threat obviously for me. I think it was gonna be my favorite match. My MVP, that's tough, man, because I definitely like the Solo pick. But I don't think I ever really do this because I feel like I try not to give MVP to people who are always in these spots. I probably haven't done it since WrestleMania, to be honest. I'm gonna give it to Cody. Because again, he's everything he wanted. This is what he wanted. Whether he did screw himself over in AEW, but he's everything he wanted to be. He wanted to be the top guy. He's the top guy in WWE. He's where he wanted to be. He's creating achievements for his family that he needed to do. Because I don't think anybody considered whether or not Dusty Rhodes won a championship outside.
He never won it when it was raining. Never won
it.
Yeah,
exactly. There's never been a Rhodes champion with the 47th U.S. president. Like, okay, Cody, we get it. Anyway, but yeah, no, I'm gonna give it to Cody because again, I thought he looked good with that belt, man. I don't care what nobody says. You make belts like that for people like Cody. I know he loved holding that big heavy thing that he had, but. And I think the ring thing is also a Cody idea. That just sounds like a Cody idea.
He's gonna have so many rings, isn't he?
Right, the ring thing sounds like his idea. Yeah, because he helped come up with the ring that Max was carrying around at AEW. That was his thing. So it just sounds like a Cody Rhodes idea to me. But yeah, so shout out to him, man. I'm giving him the MVP, even though, like Jaxie said, he's been given everything.
Yeah. Anyway, for me. Triple threat match and MVP, and I can't believe I'm going to say it. I'm going to say Lash Legend for me because, like I said, I wanted her gone, and she's proved me wrong. And there's nothing better when there's a wrestler that does prove me wrong, as long as it's not Brooks Jensen. Score out of 10.
Stacks, New World Heavyweight. You ready?
I'm going to give it an 8.25 for Crown Jewel. Run of the mill show. Are we going to look back on anything in a few months' time with any excitement. I don't know. Maybe the bloodline. The triple threat stood out. And like I said, Jaxie, the women's tag was really, really good. So 8.25 for me. Jaxie, what would you score out of 10?
Yeah, I think this was good. I'm going to give it an 8 overall.
Yep. 8. Monty?
Same. I think 8. I agree. Yeah, pretty much triple threat match. I'll come back for maybe. Bloodline might get overshadowed by what we expecting to come, war games or something. So, but pretty much the women's match, all good, very solid to very good stuff. But 8 is probably a fair score.
And Gina?
Yeah, I'll go with an 8 as well.
Going 8 there, perfect. So the post show, Jackie with Big E and Sheamus. We got the championship ceremony with Cole and the vote with Liv, Cody, and Triple H, and Cody and Liv get rings. Kathy Kelly then speaks to Solo and then to Rollins. Seth said it was a huge test for him, but it doesn't feel like he won. And he gives credit to Bronson Reed. You don't hear that every day. LA Knight replaced Sheamus. He said he shed the bitterness. He doesn't take it for granted. We see KO banged up, saying he still doesn't want any of this. Blair and Jay quit the interview. Then we get Liv on the panel. She got emotional. Said it means everything to her. She can believe it, and she can't. And then Raw, we're still in Saudi. Liv and Dom start the show after fireworks, and Blair and Cargill interrupted victory lap for Morgan, who was responded by planting the seeds of dissension between them. Things ascended to physicality as Blair slapped Morgan, and Adam Pearce made it into the #1 contendership battle royal. We saw Blair, Cargill, Maxine Dupree, Ivy Nile, Caden Carter, Katana Chance, Baszler, Sky, Sane, Lara Valkyria, Isla Dawn, Natalia, Sonya Deville, Alba Fire, and Zelina Vega. And it was Io Sky earning a shot at the Women's Championship. This was after Morgan and Raquel interfered, leading to eliminations of Blair and Cargill. So we don't know if there's going to be a tag match for the titles at Survivor Series or if Io will get her opportunity first. Jaxie, what are your thoughts on the start of Raw?
I mean, I thought we were being pretty spoiled, and I'm kind of like, so we're getting this in Saudi as well, and that's not a problem. That's a first again that they're doing, so they're kind of expanding. But not only that, they're starting out with a women's battle royal. I mean, I had to do like a sort of a rewind of. I'm sorry, what did you just say we're getting? Like I really didn't think that we would actually get something on this like high caliber for the women as an opportunity over in Saudi Arabia. So I was actually really pleased that a lot of these faces and these women wrestlers got a chance to be part of this sort of event that was over there. I also too was kind of like, okay, so they're focusing a lot on Liv and Raquel focusing on the tag champs. And the only reason why I don't like that is specifically for the reason why we're actually having like this women's battle royale. Look at the plethora of women that you could actually have feuding with the likes of Liv and Raquel and the likes of the women's tag titles like separately, But again, like it feels like the WWE do this thing a lot where they'll feature some sort of younger talent being a potential contender. Once that match is actually over and like the title holder like retains, they then go to feuding with another sort of title holder for a bit, and then there's no action for those both title holders because they're in that picture. And I think it locks out like potential storylines that could have been like bigger, So again, this could be really bitter Jax coming out here because of the fact that like you have the likes of Shayna Baszler in there and you didn't actually think to like have her win it or something like again, but that's my bitterness coming out.
No, but again, like you said, this is the issue with WWE where they put the tag titles and, like you said, the world title together into one segment rather than having two separate and making two separate stories. But EO, I think EO might still be on the apron. Celebrating their victory.
Yeah, I mean, no, don't get me wrong. Like, I love seeing EO in that role. So that I should have actually clarified on. It was more the case of, but still, like, it was, Bianca and Jade got pulled out by Liv and Raquel. So that means that, going forward, we are going to have some more storyline between Liv, Raquel, and the tag title holders. So it kind of then locks them out of potential storylines that again, hopefully this is something small, but it's just taking away opportunity. If this is going to go to something like Survivor Series, that takes away 2 different matches you could have had featuring the title, the 2 title holders. Do you know what I mean? For other new title winners. So that's the point I was trying to make.
Yeah. Backstage, Kathy Kelly interviewed the New Day, Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston. The White Six interrupted with a new video that saw Bo Dallas confront the abducted Miz, revealing they always wanted him, never the final testament. A clip of the Miz promising Dallas and Kurt Axel that he would make them stars for years earlier preceded it. Also, I think the week previously, Karen Cross, after Miz did get abducted, was like, yeah, he's dead. Monty, again, it's little things like this, but I want to see more of the White Six, but stuff like this does work.
I agree. I wish they was, like you said, showcased a little bit more frequently, but I also kind of can understand not wanting to overdo it. You know, it's always a argument, I guess, even when Bray was doing his thing, or Undertaker back in the day at times, like, that maybe they were overexposed, and it's better if they come out at specific times. But I'm with you. I think telling stories like this, with history and having the older clips in there, I really like that B team kind of reference that they kind of had there with him and Curtis, or Miz Taraj kind of reference. If people even remember that, takes me back, right? I'm a big Bo fan though, so I definitely, I know every phase of his career, even the ones that you probably would want to forget. So I love it from that standpoint, but I 100% agree with you that I wish we get more of it more consistently, at least from them as a faction, showing up and doing more. But at the same time, I also, like you mentioned with the Cross thing that he's been doing a good job of, he's been growing on a lot of people, not just me, with his work that he's been doing and making the most out of the time he's had. And so I give credit to Cross for trying to do whatever he can to at least get on, improve his standing, even if he's not wrestling every week. So yeah, this was good. I can't wait to see the eventual results and like how they decide to do this. Because this was pretty good.
Unless they just murder Miz and no one mentions it ever again.
And he's just gone. Yeah. And then we just, right. Which looks like that might, you never know. That might be
No. We see Sami Zayn show up to explain his actions with Jay and Jimmy in the ring. And basically they said, we'll sort this out on SmackDown. So we will worry about it then. Dragon Lee beat Gable with Chad. He can't catch a break as a heel or face. But again, Monty, as you mentioned earlier with the triple threat match, this was there to go, oh, we can put good wrestling on in a match, that might not have much story behind it with 2 guys that can kill it. We can do that, but we choose other things maybe. Gunther took responsibility for his loss to Cody Rhodes, calling American Nightmare a better man at Crown Jewel, but he took shots at Ludwig Kaiser just, because. And then the number 1 contender's fatal 4-way match, it was Damon Priest who got the win after defeating Dominic Mysterio, Sheamus, and Seth Rollins. I mean, Gina, I don't know about you, but Dom should have had a moment, And I know Priest is popular and all this shit, but, like, come on. Give him a chance, Give Dom a chance.
I do feel like Dom is just put into matches for comical relief at this point. He's just always there to let the crowd have what they want, which is basically to see Dom suffering. And that's all they want. They don't want to see him shine. They don't want him getting a moment. They just want to see him suffer. That's it. But maybe you've been hit by the Dom effect as well, James.
Well, do you know what? He is a very attractive man. I'm not going to lie. And I like his initials. All right? For some reason. I
never thought of his initials before.
Maybe it is. Oh, I've gone all hot under the collar.
Also, Gunther beating him would turn him face. So I think that's probably the only argument. Gunther beat. So, I wanted Sheamus, man. Like, let Sheamus and him go kill each other again. Why not?
I also wanted that. That was what I thought was gonna. I thought Sheamus had such a strong chance at winning this because of it wasn't until all 4 men got into the ring, and I was like, oh shit, we actually get Sheamus versus Gunther like next round, like, and I would be all on for that. So I'm a little bit gutted that Sheamus didn't get it. But also I don't want to forget, like, like the accomplishments that Damian Priest has done. I feel like they wanted to give him like another like sort of hype, because he didn't really hold that belt too long from Gunther. So I guess they want to kind of still make it feel like he was a world title holder at one point,
Yeah, about that. And this is the thing, though. Why they didn't make it a 5-way, I don't know, with Bronson Reed's involvement in the match itself. But again, I quite liked when the competitors were talking about the match, and they were going, yeah, we got 3 great athletes and Dom. So, you know what I mean? Dom needs to kind of get out of this. I don't know how he is, but he will. SmackDown, the first match was an indie-less Candice LeRae losing to Bayley. Randy Orton came out with a raspy voice, called for Kevin Owens to come out so they could fight. Fish was trying to break out, but Owens hit a pole driver. They took Orton out on a stretcher. As Cody Rhodes checked. No, Monty, you know what I don't like? Stretcher jobs.
No, I said the pile driver, not the stretcher. I know
but the pole driver is like, I don't know, man. Like, yeah, just... Is that going to be moved in other matches now, or are they just going to leave it? Do you know what I mean? There cannot be like a transitional move anymore.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like, you only use it when you're trying to kill somebody. 100%. I agree.
It's the Tiger Driver equivalent of WWE, isn't it? Like,
right. It just kind of gave me nostalgia, man. Because growing up, they would just hit that, like you mentioned. Like, you would see one on a regular 5-minute match on Raw in the Attitude Era. Somebody just doing a pile driver.
Yeah, to be fair. When we return from the break, both DIY and Pretty Deadly, yes boy, we're in the ring for a tag match. DIY won. No boy. But like you said, they look like they're turning chumper, because when Gargano was being nice to Motor City Machine Gun, he got well pissed. Motor City Machine Guns defeated A-Town Down Under, and the Street Profits confirmed they will face them for the tag titles next week. We also saw Jay Cargill and Bianca Belair beat Nia Jax and Tiffany Stratton. And also, as we mentioned earlier, Nick Aldis revealed the Women's United States Championship. Now, off-air, Jaxie wanted Charlotte to win the title first. But, I mean, Gina, we'll get your thoughts. What are your thoughts on the United States Championship for the women? Is it the right thing at the right time?
Yeah, I definitely feel it is. Like I was saying about the triple threat match for the US title at Crown Jewel, it really just hyped it up, the 3 guys, Mello and Andrade and LA Knight, have really made the US title seem like this, really top belt to be aiming for and going after. And I think that really helps to elevate this new belt for the ladies that's coming in. So I definitely think it's the right call and the right time. It's about time the ladies had other belts to focus on, especially because they got rid of the NXT women's tag belts. So it's like there's not really been much in terms of, especially with the NXT talent who like to come up and be on the main show for a few weeks and then go back down to their NXT one shows and stuff like that. Like, this would just help loads of people, ladies, come forward and try to showcase why they should be a champion. So I'm all here for it, and I look forward to the fight-offs for it, I guess.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're going to have loads to unpack with that, hopefully, in the coming weeks as we head towards Survivor Series, which is the next show. And the final thing we're going to talk about is what happened on SmackDown. And basically, the overarching story was all about the bloodline. See, Reigns and Jimmy came out to kick things off in the arena. Right as Roman was about to speak, Jay's music hit, and he walked to the ring. Jay asked Reigns to hear what Zayn had to say, which led to Zayn making his way out. The crowd chanted Sami Uso as they all stood in the ring waiting for someone to speak first. Zayn said kicking Reigns was not done on purpose. The only reason it was there to help out Jay. But he also admitted it felt special to be back in the ring with all of them. He said he'd be willing to go back to how things used to be if Reigns would just apologise, but not to him. He wanted Reigns to apologise to Jay. The OTC walked up to Jay and after a short pause said he was sorry. And he was sorry he let Jay waste his time with this. But it wasn't over because Reigns called out Solo. With Zayn walked away, Jacob appeared on the screen and said Sikoa doesn't work on Reigns' schedule. He did, though, with the final segment, which was Sikoa's Tribal Chief Acknowledgement Ceremony. After a break, Reigns actually came out to the ring and stood along with a new bloodline across the ring from him. The OTC challenged Sikoa to a match for the title of Tribal Chief. Instead, Sikoa challenged him to War Games, claiming Zayn would be his fifth man. Bloodline attacked Reigns as Zayn looked on from stage. Usos tried and failed to save the OTC. Sikoa ordered Zayn to kick Reigns in the face again, but he kicked Solo instead. And after a tense moment, Zayn held up his finger with the Usos to indicate he was on board. And so did Roman. And the OG Bloodline is back. Whew, a lot going on there. But Jaxie, I mean, we get everybody's thoughts on it, obviously. But Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? Especially when you think the kind of Bloodline story goes back to when we first started doing the pod together. You know, that's how much stories involved.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like there was like a lot of tension that went into this SmackDown, really. Like, and it was built up across the whole like episode. So sort of towards the end, like you kind of got a little bit scared, like sat there watching kind of the Usos getting taken out and wondering whether or not Sami and Soda were having the right type of conversation rather than, you know, going the other way. So I got to admit, there was a moment of relief when Sami went and then went for the kick to Jacob, you know, instead of Roman. So I'm incredibly pleased to see this team up. I kind of knew that this was going to inevitably like sort of end up at Survivor Series in like a War Games type of situation. And it didn't really, it wouldn't have felt right if Sami wasn't involved in this match. So I'm really pleased to see sort of this was the outcome.
Yeah, I think that, and you know, as we say, there's a lot of stuff to go to unpack. I mean, Gina, the question is, does Roman have to apologise, or will Sami and Jay do the right thing anyway? Do you know what I mean? Does he actually need to say sorry? Because he actually hasn't. He's only yeeted, really, what I can think.
Yeah, I mean, I think maybe later on down the line an apology may come, but I think Sami and Jay will just still be involved whether the apology comes now or not anyway, because they'll have to, because they'll be getting attacked by the bloodline, you know? So they're kind of already involved. There's not really a choice for them but to continue. But I do feel like maybe after they get the big win, maybe Roman will turn around and be like, I want to apologize to all of you, you know, for everything that I did. And now that we're back on top, you know, I feel like I'm ready to say it to you or something. I don't know. Maybe something like that will happen. I think that would be nice.
Because even we saw like Roman backstage, you know, when he's telling Sami to go do one, and then same with Jimmy, same with Jay, and then Jimmy going, like, have you actually changed at all? And again, Monty, that's the kind of question that we ask. I think the issue maybe for some is how quickly this bloodline story is developed this year compared to when we look at maybe last year, you know, when Jimmy and Jay didn't interact between 6 months, and now we feel like we're getting a lot. But that's not a bad thing, really, is it, you know?
No, because I think the whole point of it is that it's family. You know, I think people who I have siblings. I'm not necessarily close with my siblings, but like a lot of times, I know I know how they're really close knit outside of the outside of what they're doing professionally. If you're looking at it like friends or like just from a wrestling standpoint, sure. But I think that's kind of like the message they've been also trying to send, is that at the end of the day, they're family. So like, yeah, we may not always say the right things. You may not get what the apologies right off the bat, but a lot of times families, at the end of the day, when you know, you're gonna come together to defend your family. And y'all will talk about it later. That's kind of like the way that's the vibes I'm getting from it. But I'm with you, James, too. Like you said, there's a lot of stuff going on very fast by comparison, but by comparison to what we've had in the past with the way they've been trying to tell this story. I'm also interested to see if the apology comes later, or like with a return of maybe Paul at some point down the line, and maybe that can lead to them actually having backstage segments where everybody communicates. And we don't know what's coming either. You never know. Like we could have still more turmoil could be there. But you're 100% right. When you think about how things ended off, you would definitely expect it to be at least a little bit more drawn out tension. But at the same time, to be fair, Survivor Series will be here before you know it. So I kind of understand also kind of streamlining it and just getting ready to just, you know, put the pieces back together. Because like Jay and Jimmy is one thing, they're twins. It makes sense for them to kind of get it right quickly, but for everybody to trust Roman so fast, besides Jimmy, and for Roman to an extent to trust Sammy, because he could still, even though he would be wrong, he could still blame Sammy for why things are the way they are, because Sammy was the one who gave the chair shot, and eventually that kind of motivated what happened with Jay. So you never know, but. I think so far they haven't been doing a bad thing. I think my only problem with this whole entire thing, and it's not really a problem because I get it. I get what they were trying to do, but to an extent, I was just like Solo, Solo, Solo. I don't know why you still was trying with Sammy at this point, in my opinion. I just that's the only part of it I didn't really understand, other than messing with Roman and like messing with him. I didn't really get even entertaining Sammy again when you had Roman out there by himself and you had them outnumbered. But it is what it is. I thought this was good. Like you said, this is the reconciliation that we all expected to happen, and I just can't wait to see how things play out, because it could go the way I think we all have a feeling it could go, with a happy reunion and a victory and the OG standing tall. But it also has the potential, if they want to go that route, of going a completely different way. So I can't wait to see what they decide to do and how they decide to tell this story, because that's the beautiful thing about this story. It's very compelling, even if we kind of have an idea of what's going to happen.
Well, this is the thing, and we talk about Jay and Roman. Jay being ready for that next stage now, but like you said, if victory goes to the new bloodline, then Solo and Jacob could be made men at that point. And this is a point now, the next stage is Survivor Series. People have talked about this and dreamt about this for such a long time. So it's got so much build and kind of, to not be a letdown. And that is our next show. It'll be Survivor Series Bloodline versus Bloodline in War Games. And Monty, you mentioned it there, as a family. And like us on the WNR podcast, we are a family. I would not hear a bad word said about you or Gina. You know that. So that is it. Don't forget, across all social media, I'm Twitter at the WNR podcast. I'm the WNR Pod James or something like that. You'll find me. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Or Jaxie, where can people find and follow you?
Well, people can find and follow me because I'm the more popular one out of the two of us anyway on
That's not very
Twitter
nice to Gina, is it?
X.
You know what I mean? Like, come on. There's no need.
I said out of the two of us. The two of us, meaning you.
Yeah. All right, yeet.
Yeah. You can find me on X and Twitch at Jaxie Scarlett.
Oh, my God, Monty. I don't know what's wrong with her. Where can people find you?
You can follow me on @MyMontyPod. I don't be on that app because that billionaire has ruined that app for me in a lot of ways. So I barely be on it at this point. But yeah, keep up with me through the podcast for the most part for now, and I will update you as things change.
Don't leave the country, Monty. There'll be better things ahead, better times ahead, I swear.
I got my passport, brother.
Yeah. Unless you're forced out, who knows? So Gina,
you never know.
Gina, where can people find and follow you?
They can find me on Instagram, X, and Twitch at Purple Pain.
Awesome. The Double Awesome on Facebook and Instagram, across all Google platforms. Send us an email at doublepodcast@gmail.com. YouTube, Double Podcast. All the latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube. Do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is next weekend, and we have got a big New Japan catch-up. But we are going to catch up. There's no doubt about that. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. You know, Jaxie, you and me, eh? Hey, you and me.
Yeah. It's been fun. On for the next one. You know what? I will beat you at WWE 1 at some point, and when that day comes, it will be beautiful.
Yeah, we shall see, shan't we? Anyway,
yes, we shall.
Yeah, we shall. The mind of Monty, another win, Monty, but again, you don't really care anymore, do you? Just picking up points.
Yeah, man, because I needed that bonus league bonus. Because wait till y'all hear these year-end predictions.
And of course, the genius of Gina. Gina, thank you for joining me. And well done for putting up with Jaxie.
At this point, I think it's the other way around, especially with how bad my predictions are going. I started off really good, and then they seem to have gone downhill. So I'm going to have to do my best to
Good job.
to try and get back up there with the AEW at least. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we will. Good luck with that. Well, thanks for listening, and bye.